Cordelia. Nochi, the son of a naval martyr, is a once-in-a-century genius with an extremely beautiful appearance, highly favored by military girls. At a young age, he became acquainted with senior generals and lieutenants, and is known as a top naval relationship. He is a good friend of General Qingji, the nephew of Red Dog, and the life-saving benefactor of General Zifa. Such a person, in the graduation assessment of the Naval Elite School, seized the dark fruit known as the most vicious ability in history. Note: there is no system in this article. The male leader is not a woman. He is mature and decisive. Most female roles are supporting role, not mindless palace characters. The early stage is a bit slow, and the main character's goal will be gradually reflected. Main characters. Nochi keywords of the novel. Pirates. Opening to grab the dark fruit without a pop-up window, pirates. Opening to grab the dark fruit. Download the full text, pirates. Opening to grab the dark fruit. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Seizing the dark fruit at the beginning. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The Great Waterway, an ocean carrying countless dreams. The new elite students from the Navy headquarters are undergoing their graduation assessment and final practical training here. 3 tall and imposing naval vessels, equipped with thick and long black gun barrels, brave the wind and waves, invincible. Their opponents are equally extraordinary. The famous tornado pirate ships that once sailed through the Great Waterway. It is rumored that their destructive power is like a storm, with no grass growing in the area they reach, extremely dangerous. Captain Sylvia Kobit offered a bounty of up to 150 million yuan, and all 4 of his generals were wanted criminals with a bounty of over 50 million yuan. It is rare to see a pirate group with a balanced distribution of strength. They originally intended to enter the New World and showcase their ambitions, but unfortunately became the target of the Navy. But they are not afraid. It's just 3 warships. Bring the ship over to me, who do they think I am? Sylvia Kobit waved her robust arms and pulled out the extremely sharp sword from her waist. With a pointed blade, she said, "Kill me. Kill these navies." One by one, the pirates seemed like hungry wolves who had been starving for many days, fiercely charging towards the Navy ships. At the bow of the warship, a burly man with short purple hair stood here, wearing a coat with the words, "Justice," written on his shoulders, swaying in the wind. He is Zifa, the chief instructor of the Navy headquarters, a man known as Black Wrist who once shook the world with the name of Not Killing. Beside Zifa, a beautiful woman with long wavy blue hair gazed calmly in front of her. The cruel and ferocious pirate could not touch her heartstrings, and only that man could move her. Even a mere pirate dares to be so reckless. Suddenly, a man with a clear and fair face, a stunning complexion, snowy skin, flowing black hair, and a handsome eyebrow pulled out a sharp blade from his waist and emerged in the air. His name is Cordelia Nochi, the son of Rear Admiral Cordelia Rogers of the Navy, and he is a native-level resident of Marinfando. With excellent talent and stunning appearance, his strength and popularity far surpass those of his contemporaries in the Navy. He has countless fans and admirers, and is known as a rare genius in the Navy for hundreds of years. It's so beautiful. Every time I see Brother Nochi, I feel heartbroken and regretful about why he didn't have a daughter. Hey, what are you talking about? I, Nakio, am so handsome and a man among men. How can you judge people by their appearance? Pooh, don't pretend to be aloof here. I don't believe that if Naki turns into a beautiful woman, you won't go after him. Shoo, focus on dealing with the pirates. Don't let Assistant Ian hear these words, be careful she breaks our legs. Undoubtedly, he is the only one who can transform the charismatic teaching assistant Ian into a gentle and caring little woman. Ian listened to the noisy discussion below, and a blush appeared on his cheeks. Teacher, look at them. They dare to deviate during the assessment time, should they be punished? Indeed, it should be punished, Zifa smiled kindly. But that's understandable. After all, Nochi is so famous in this department. As his girlfriend, you can't help but worry in the future. Teacher. Ian blushed even more fiercely. Play back and forth, make a fuss back and forth. The disciples taught by Zifa himself are not comparable to ordinary navies. These young navies use the 6 styles, fruit abilities, and swordsmanship. The pirates were defeated by their attack. Captain. This group of navy is extraordinary. Our people can't handle it anymore. Run quickly. Nonsense. I'm Sylvia Corbett, the man who wants to step on the 4th emperor and become the pirate king. How can he retreat? You bunch of trash, see how I killed them. Corbett immediately fell in love with the most beautiful, charming, and domineering man on the battlefield. Let's take care of you first, go to hell. Are you the captain of this ship? Nock wiped away the bloodstains on the blade with his index finger, inserted it back into its scabbard, and his beautiful eyes revealed a strong murderous aura. That's right, I'm Sylvia Corbett, the man who will become the One Piece. A good dream, but unfortunately you met me. Nock held the handle of the knife in his right hand, and as soon as the enemy approached, he drew his sword and struck it with astonishing speed. Many navies did not even know how he made the move. I saw Corbett spitting blood and his body flying backwards like a detached kite. Surprisingly. Even stronger than me. Corbett crashed into the cabin, wiping the blood from the corners of his mouth and staining his clothes with a deep knife mark on his chest. When he thought his time was approaching, he suddenly saw a treasure chest placed on the table. I almost forgot that I still have it, although I don't know what ability it is. Eating it will always improve, right? Now I can only bet on it. I cannot collapse here, I must leave alive. After all, becoming the One Piece King is. It is the wish of our 3 generations. Speaking, Corbett pulled out a deep purple, snail-shaped fruit that resembled a pineapple in shape. This is. Nock has a secret, he's actually a traveler. And the world he is in is a manga world called One Piece. He, who was familiar with the plot, recognized the origin of this fruit at a glance. The dark fruit that claims to possess the most vicious ability in the world. So it's in your hands, it's really unexpected. Do you know it? Corbett stopped and said that eating the devil's fruit is a lifelong thing. If possible, he would like to reconsider, which is also why he has been keeping this fruit. Nochi casually smiled, but in the eyes of others, it was a stunning scenery that was refreshing and delightful. I know it, it's called the fruit of human beings. Animals can transform into humans when they eat it, and humans will love the ability of dried ducks when they eat it. Nanny. Corbett was stunned, the devil's fruit of hope he gave was actually such a chicken-like ability. There are loopholes. Norcha's eyes froze as he held the handle of the knife. So fast. Pirate Corbett saw a silver light flash, and crimson blood splattered everywhere. Pop it. Captain. Captain, we're defeated. Undoubtedly, he is Brother Nochi, the strongest man among this class of students. That's amazing. Ian looked at the back of the man in the distance, his heart pounding like a deer, completely lost in thought. Zifa smiled and said, killing pirates with a bounty of over 100 million is not common among the disciples of our sect. Coupled with Noki's previous achievements, I believe there will be a significant improvement in his military career, at least he will be promoted to Major General. Yeah. Ian thought it was true that the man she liked was indeed excellent. It's time to give that gift away. Nochi slowly withdrew his knife, extended his pure white jade-like right hand, and picked up the deep purple fruit covered in bloodstains on the surface. I accepted the most ferocious ability. Nock did not immediately eat it, but instead brought the fruit back to the Navy ship. The pirates were vulnerable and surrendered one after another. Nochi. Ian eagerly threw himself into the man's embrace, with a small face tightly pressed against his shirt, deeply feeling the warmth and fragrance of the other person. Assistant Dean, I am still your student now. Making such an intimate gesture in front of so many people doesn't have a good impact, right? The beautiful woman was in her arms, and Nochi showed an unusually calm demeanor. Perhaps he was still very interested in beautiful women in his past life, but now there are too many people who crave his body, and he has already looked very bland. Ian is his friend who grew up and is 5 years older than him. A few years ago. Because Nochi knew that Zifa's team would have an accident, he specifically asked his friend General Kazan to secretly follow Zifa. Kazan originally thought that protecting the students at that time with Zifa's strength was enough, but couldn't resist Nochi's plea and had to agree. I didn't expect Nochi to guess right. The new recruits led by Zifa encountered a capable individual named Weibel. If it weren't for Kazan's timely arrival, the casualties would be extremely severe. Zifa learned that it was Nochi who asked Kazan to secretly follow him, and even went to the door to express his gratitude. Nock explained that he was only worried about the safety of his friend Ian, and expected Weibel's attack to be crooked. A naval general is not something that ordinary people can hire. Even if Nochi and Kazan have a good relationship, it is impossible to persuade them without paying some price. I didn't know that Nock was a time traveler who could anticipate the opportunity. She just thought that Nock was worried about her safety and afraid that something might happen to her. Women often care not about other aspects of a man, but about his feelings for themselves. Nochi's move undoubtedly touched her soft heart. Moreover, the two grew up together at the Navy headquarters from a young age. Although Norch was younger than her, she was mentally mature and always stood up to help her solve various problems at critical moments. Moreover, Nock's appearance is extremely attractive to girls, and many excellent naval sisters always deliberately approach him. I didn't want such an excellent man to fall into the hands of other women, so she quickly launched an attack. Nock's expectations for his significant other are not high, with only 2 points. Being more beautiful and gentle than him. Ian clearly meets his requirements, and the two still have years of emotional foundation. After Ian's multiple confessions, Nock finally agreed to her. That day, she burst into tears of joy and cried happily in her man's arms for several hours. At this moment, Ian still tightly hugged Norch, looked up, and his agile big eyes showed a hint of playfulness. The graduation assessment is over, and you are no longer my student, he said. Norch placed his left hand around her waist, holding her soft and warm body comfortably. Is that right? As far as I know, only when a new military position is established can I break free from my student status, he said. Little rascal, you refuse with your mouth, but your body is very sincere. The Navy around them had become accustomed to seeing them embracing each other. Over the years, they had suffered a lot, either eating dog food every day or on their way to eat dog food. What does it feel like to have a teaching assistant girlfriend? They can be said to have experienced it through Norch. It's all kinds of favoritism. Norch doesn't care if he's late, they have to run an extra 20 laps around the playground if they're late. Nock came whenever he wanted, and left whenever he wanted. They even saw once that the teaching assistant not only allowed Nock to leave, but also followed him along. This is the strictest new recruits camp in the Navy. Is this appropriate? They have never complained to Zifa. After all, Nochi's achievements are there. The only man in the entire new recruits camp who is proficient in all 6 moves, is even more skilled in swordsmanship, and can compete with General Flying Squirrel. It's just a standard child from someone else's family. Ha ha ha. Zifa walked steadily towards them and said, Nochi, you did a good job. It can be said that you have put a satisfactory end to your years of new recruits. Teacher, Einxiao blushed and crawled out of Norch's arms. Are you holding the devil's fruit in your hand? Zifa's gaze was drawn. Well, I'm going to eat it. Do you know the ability of this fruit? I have seen it before in the Devil's Fruit Illustrated, called the Dark Fruit, which possesses the most ferocious ability in the world, the power of darkness. I think it is very suitable for me. Zifa has heard of its ominous name, Dark Fruit, the nemesis of all demon fruit abilities. It is powerful, but its side effects are also not light. Teacher, what are the side effects of this fruit? Ian rolled Norch's arm, leaned his whole body against it, blinked his eyes, and said, the dark fruit is a type of natural ability, and according to the illustrated book, its ability holders cannot avoid damage like other natural abilities. Instead, they actively absorb damage, doubling the pain and giving it to users, which is a very challenging ability for willpower. I knew that as a Navy, she would have to go through many battles in the future and inevitably get hurt. When she thought about how her man would endure the excruciating pain, she couldn't bear it and said, Norch, why don't you just stop eating it? Of course I have to eat, it's just a slight pain, not enough to be afraid. Nochi's eyes remained steadfast. Zifa became more and more satisfied as he looked at it. Okay, the Navy needs your spirit of daring to become stronger. If you can get rid of your laziness, your future achievements will definitely not be lower than those of us old men. Nochi shook his head gently and said seriously, sleeping is to help me accumulate energy. Keeping them where they should be used helps improve my work efficiency. How can this be considered a bad habit? It should be a good thing. Zifa laughed and cursed, you little slippery guy, I can't say anything about you. Ian knew that Norch had a cleanliness fetish, so he took the dark fruit and cleaned its surface with clean water. Although she doesn't want Nochi to eat it, as an excellent girlfriend, how can she stop her man from making progress? Nochi, try not to taste the fruit with your tongue when eating, it's very unpleasant. Ian held the dark fruit in both hands and handed it over. She was also a demon fruit expert with more experience, thank you very much. Nochi quickly picked it up, gritted and swallowed it all in one go. Beauty is in the eyes of lovers, let alone Nochi's appearance is not inferior to that of Shisha. Ian couldn't help but feel a little confused as he watched him eat the devil's fruit. This handsome man is her boyfriend. Norch took a deep breath and his expression suddenly became complicated. Norch, are you feeling unwell? It's true that I ate the devil's fruit and my body didn't adapt. I'll go call a military doctor now. Ian hurriedly ran to the door. Nock raised his hand and called out to her, I accidentally tasted the taste. Chapter 2. The Youngest Major General. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Marinfando, Naval Headquarters. Countless seagull flags carrying scales were fluttering in the sea breeze. A military fortress resembling a mountain stands here, with the two big characters, Navy, prominently written on it, and its majestic and magnificent momentum is awe-inspiring. Numerous naval vessels surround the crescent-shaped harbor, and countless naval soldiers standing with guns seem to be telling the world of solemnity and peace. In the office of Navy General Chinji. Chinji was wearing an eye mask on his forehead, holding his chin with one hand and yawning heavily. Welcome, from today on, you will be my Major General. Being able to become a Major General at a young age is one of the few in the Navy, he sat on the sofa inside the house, the stunning man crossed his legs and held his jade-white cheeks in his left hand. I thought he would be placed under Uncle Sakaski's command, he said, ah la la, originally planned this way, but you know Sakaski's personality. He was afraid of others gossiping, so he refused. Coincidentally, I was there at the time, so he invited you over. Are you not afraid of others gossiping? The three naval generals have an extraordinary relationship with you. If they are all afraid of gossip, wouldn't anyone dare to take you? Speaking of which, thank you very much. If I were to be placed under the command of that Paulsolino guy, he might not know how to command me. Kuzan took out a few bottles of wine from the drawer and said, by the way, the Flying Squirrels and others are going to your house tonight to celebrate your successful graduation. I will go too. You should go back and prepare in advance. Looking for another opportunity for me to cook for you all. You're all quite old, you should get a wife. You can't be single for a lifetime, can you? Kuzan rubbed his messy hair and said, finding a girlfriend is too troublesome. It's better to take a little more sleep when you have time. As for the Flying Squirrel, he talked about a Navy miss who is 6 years younger than him a few days ago. Are you talking about Daya, that girl? They used to get along quite well. Do you remember the time we went to the restaurant for dinner before the final assessment of the new recruits? Well, that day was my first meeting with my little girlfriend, the flying squirrel. Women like to compare, and it is said that after seeing you, she doesn't like the flying squirrels, and then the two broke up. The reason? Isn't the flying squirrel going to hate me to death? It's rare to meet a beautiful girlfriend who can cook. Ah la la, so the flying squirrel made up its mind not to let you meet his female friends again until he got married. For the sake of his heartbreak, I'll reluctantly go home and make a delicious comforting meal to comfort him. Nochi left Kazan's office and went to the market behind the fortress to select the ingredients needed for dinner. This fish is good. You can make them a squirrel mandarin fish to try. Before Nochi traveled, he worked as a chef for a while, and coupled with being in a foreign land, he couldn't help but miss his hometown cuisine. He occasionally studied it and thus understood many traditional Chinese dishes. The cuisine in the world of pirates is mainly Western and Japanese, with few people like Nochi proficient in Chinese cuisine. Many of Nochi's friends were made through his superb cooking skills, and the naval officers were very fond of the food he cooked, which was both delicious and novel. Nok is a focal point figure in the Navy headquarters, with a super high turnover rate no matter where he goes, and he is a man and woman. Mr. Nok is becoming more and more beautiful, and as a woman, I feel inferior. Pay attention to your vocabulary. Mr. Nok hates people saying he's beautiful and should use handsome words, and Mr. Nochi is already Major General Nochi, so we'll have to call him Major General when we see him in the future. He has high looks, strong abilities, and a good personality. I really want to marry him, even if I am someone else. Unfortunately, Major General already has a girlfriend. What if you have a girlfriend? As long as you're not married, there's still a chance. What if we get married, we still have a chance. Sisters, your idea is very dangerous. While the naval sisters were discussing, someone had already taken action. A petite and delicate navy loli blushed as she rushed towards Norch, offering a box of heart-shaped chocolates in her hands. Major General, please accept it. I made it myself, she said. I'm sorry, I have a girlfriend now. It's better to give it to someone in need, said Nochi, who is accustomed to this situation. With a slightly raised corner of his mouth and a bright yet polite smile, the girl lowered her head and dared not look into the man's eyes. Even if you refuse, please accept it. This is my intention. As Nok was about to refuse again, a beautiful woman with long wavy blue hair approached him and reached out to take the chocolate box. With a smile, she said, I took it for him. Thank you. The girl recognized Ian, her face flushed as if about to explode, her head steaming hot, and she repeatedly bent down to apologize. I'm sorry to bother you. Ian was also very magnanimous, opening the box in front of her and taking a sip of the chocolate. It's delicious, everyone has the right to like others. I understand your feelings, I'm just a little luckier than you, I got it. Men exclaimed at Ian's words, saying that she is truly a gentle and considerate girl. However, women can feel a hint of shrimp pig heart and a hint of desolation from her words. Major General Nochi is not the man they can get after all. People are sometimes contradictory creatures. When you can't get it, try your best to get it. After getting it, I felt that it wasn't that way anymore. If Norch really abandoned Ian and was good to any of them, would he still be the original Norch? Obviously not. Because he is no longer perfect, he has lost the most important loyalty. Unless Ian abandons Nok, but this is simply impossible, even if it were a fool, he wouldn't let such an excellent man go. The confessing girl was overwhelmed and hurriedly fled. For what happened just now, Nochi didn't give any explanation and said calmly, Kuzan and his team are coming to my house tonight. You can join us. Good, I can taste the food my husband made again. Ian held on to Norch's arm, his vermilion lips lightly touching his profile, imprinting a mark as if swearing in sovereignty. The young ladies felt a chill in their hearts as they all walked away in recognition. Nock continued to buy groceries with Ian. "Boss, I'll take this chicken." "Okay, little brother, I'll help you pack the bag." Ian leaned against Norcha's arm, blinking his red eyes. "Are you still adapting to your newly acquired abilities? Are you not feeling unwell?" Nochi gave a faint smile and reached out to rub her head. "On the way back, you've asked me more than 10 times. It's just eating a fruit. How could I be so delicate? Do they care about you?" When Nock first met Ian, he was a lively girl, which was very different from the cold and sorrowful image portrayed in previous anime. Nochi speculated that perhaps the attack on Weibel caused a change in her character. Now that the tragedy caused by Wilbur has been stopped by him, Ian is naturally the innocent girl. "By the way, Nock, I remember you said before that you wanted to change a knife." "Yeah, it's a pity that the Navy's salary is too low, and the famous knife is a valuable but not marketable thing. I haven't met a satisfactory one for so long." "Oh, so if you get a famous knife, you must be very happy." "Of course, why do you suddenly ask such a question?" It's okay. I just suddenly remembered, just ask casually." "Oh." Nochi finished buying groceries and returned home to cook. On the way, Ian said he wanted to go home and prepare some things, so he temporarily separated from him. Nochi put on an apron and showcased his skills in the kitchen. His knife skills were clean and sharp, with his right hand holding the knife and his left hand holding onto the raw materials. Combined with his learned swordsmanship, he sliced so quickly that even ghosting appeared. Remove the scales, gills, fins, and internal organs of fish. With a wave of the kitchen knife in his hand, Nochi slashed several sword energies, and the fish's body was cut into neat and beautiful knife patterns. Cooking time flies by quickly. In the blink of an eye, the bright moon hung high. Bang! Bang! Several knocking sounds sounded at the door. Nochi ran to open the door, and what caught his eye was General Moshi, a flying squirrel with a dry head and a mustache. He appeared serious on the surface, but in reality, he was a very interesting man. The flying squirrel was carrying a bag of wine and chuckled, "I can smell the fragrance of the dishes inside the door. Little Norch, your cooking skills are still so good." Following closely behind was a short and unattractive man. "General Jiaji, have you also come?" The relationship between Nochi and the tea pufferfish is average, while the relationship with Peach Rabbit Garden is quite good, which is in line with the younger siblings of the latter. He, I remember you had a very good relationship with Miss Peach Rabbit. Maybe you could run into her when you come here." Nochi smiled helplessly and said, "Sister Yuan told me that you have confessed 90 times and haven't given up yet. The pursuit of love is from beginning to end, maybe Miss Peach Rabbit will agree to me the next time." "Forget it, emotions cannot be forced." Rear Admiral Dalmesia, with his spotted dog head behind him, pushed forward and said, "Can't you go in and chat again? Don't block the door." Sorry. Jiaji smiled awkwardly. After Lieutenant General Dalmesia, there are 4 other lieutenant generals. Huishao Shan, Gue Spider, Dao Berman, and Stalaberry, and finally Kazan. In a small room, nearly half of the famous generals from the Navy headquarters were gathered. The tableware in the room is neatly arranged. After the generals sat in a row, the flying squirrel came up and opened a bottle of wine, saying, "Nochi, we are all here to celebrate you becoming the youngest rear admiral in naval history. As the protagonist of tonight, shouldn't you blow a bottle first?" Kazan deliberately turned the wine into ice using air conditioning. Nochi saw so many people staring at him, unable to find a reason to refuse, so he simply took the bottle and poured it into his mouth with a thud. This is actually the first time that everyone has been drinking with Nock. He used to always refuse with various reasons, but this time he was so straightforward. Nock really doesn't have a habit of drinking, but he thinks he has such a good physique that he can still handle this amount of alcohol. Sure enough, after the first bottle of wine, he wasn't really drunk, just a pretty face with a blush, particularly cute. Men like to make a fuss when they are together, even if it's a lieutenant general or a senior general in the Navy headquarters. The first time they saw Norch drinking, everyone was eager to see what he looked like when he was drunk, and encouraged him to have another bottle. No, how can I drink alone? Everyone needs to drink together. Okay, let's go together. The generals accompanied him for 3 drinks. Nochi's face turned even redder. Fortunately his consciousness was still relatively clear. If this continues, he will eventually get drunk. All the generals are increasingly looking forward to it. They have only seen the usual energetic appearance of Nochi, wanting to see how much contrast he has after getting drunk. After 3 more cups, Nock's consciousness was blurred, and he lowered his head into an abnormal silence. Everyone estimated that he was drunk. After all, everyone's drunkenness is different, with some being drunk, some being talkative, and some being silent. The generals were satisfied and began to taste the dishes carefully cooked by Nochi. This fish looks appetizing and tastes sour and sweet. It's really delicious. And this chicken soup is also good, it tastes fragrant and mellow. Are you quite impressive, Nochi? Click. The door of the Nochi family opened. Ein walked in holding a long wooden box and saw that the generals had already started eating, while Norch sat motionless with his head down. Xiao Ain is here. The generals were all eating without noticing a strong murderous aura rising. I saw Ein put down the wooden box, his right hand shining with a purple light, and his delicate face showed a hint of a sinister smile. What have you old guys done to my Nochi? Although the generals were all stronger than Ian, they were like ordinary men, quickly throwing blame when faced with difficulties. Especially the one who exclaimed the most joyfully, "It's all caused by flying squirrels." The flying squirrel shrank its neck in fear as it saw Ein getting closer and closer, and explained with a bitter smile, "He's just drunk. How dare I do anything to him? So you drank for my man?" Ian's eyes were filled with murderous intent. No, absolutely not. It was all voluntary, Kazan. Are you right? Ah la, Ein Xiaomei, it's normal for a man to have a drink when he's happy. Don't get excited. That's it. Ein's murderous aura suddenly dissipated, and he calmly followed the crowd and walked over to Nock's side. He touched his profile and said, "It's so hot, I did drink too much." Nochi smelled Ian's breath and instinctively poured into her arms, just lying on the soft cushion. Ian blushed slightly and gently placed Norch's head on his lap, letting him rest on his pillow. All the generals are old bachelors. The flying squirrel suddenly felt that the food on the table was not fragrant, and the dog food made him feel a bit like crying. Ein saw everyone's gaze on him and turned his head arrogantly, saying, "What are you looking at? Haven't you seen a couple before?" The generals blushed and ate in a muffled voice. After a while, Nock's drunkenness dissipated, and he woke up again, his eyes filled with Ian's plump chest. He slowly sat up. The flying squirrel exclaimed, "Why did you sober up so quickly, kid?" Nock raised his right hand and a faint black smoke rose from his fingertips. "My ability seems to have helped me absorb all the alcohol in my body." Chapter 3. Sakaski. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Nochi picked up his glass and stood on the table. "Let's continue drinking. Today, I must drink all of you." Still so competitive. The flying squirrel raised its hands as a sign of surrender. "If you have a way to quickly absorb alcohol in your body, we definitely won't be able to drink you. Anyway, I won't drink anymore. If people on the street see me drunk, once it spreads, the chance of getting out of singlehood will decrease again. Cough, I have to go on official duties tomorrow, so it's better to stay clear-headed. I am currently planning a new confession plan and I need to pay attention to my image. As a pillar of the Navy, how can one get drunk?" Everyone present was getting better and better. Knowing that they couldn't drink him, they quickly found reasons to refuse. Ein tugged at Norch's hem and pouted, drinking hurts the body. I don't like Norch's drunken appearance. Don't worry, I don't like drinking either. I'm just angry that these old boys are intentionally making fun of me. Ian's eyes once again filled with a murderous aura, and his smile gradually solidified. So, they're still bullying you, right? How dare they bully my man? The generals dare not have any contact with Ein. As soon as they touch 12 years younger, they become children in a few moments. Unable to provoke, unable to provoke. Well. I had a great meal today. Thank you for your hospitality. I'll leave first. The flying squirrel picked up its coat and ran first. The rest will follow closely and hastily bid farewell. Only Kazan remained calm and leisurely eating. Ah la la, Ian, you're such a good wife. Ein blushed shyly and said with a wry expression, General Ku. Kazan. Don't talk nonsense, Norch and I haven't gotten married yet. Kazan smiled faintly and sat down a bit tired. He lay down on his side and said, speaking of which, the ability of dark fruit seems to be the nemesis of all devil fruits from the introduction in the guidebook. If developed well, its strength cannot be underestimated. Yeah, I'm planning to go find Paulsolino and have him practice with me. Nochi remembers that the dark fruit has a setting where it can absorb even light. There happens to be a light man around him, so why not waste it if you don't use it? The confrontation between light and dark is not common. Remember to invite me to observe, I'm quite interested. Okay. Kazan stayed for a while longer and saw that it was not early, so he also left. Ian accompanied Norch to tidy up the dishes. Nock accidentally discovered a wooden box standing at the door and said, Ian, did you bring this with you? Yeah. Ian finished washing the last bowl in the kitchen, arranged them neatly, and then took a small step to the living room. He picked up the wooden box and shyly handed it forward. This is my graduation gift for you. Open it and take a look. Oh, thank you. Nochi placed the wooden box flat on the table, carefully opening it, and a sharp tool lay quietly in it. Nochi held the golden handle of the knife, drew it out of its sheath, and a bright light flashed through his eyes, praising him repeatedly. What a beautiful thing, all burned blade patterns. This sword is called Jinlin, ranking among the 21 great Kwai knives. Legend has it that its name comes from the bright blade that always exudes a faint golden hue. The forger wanted to give it the hope of longing for light, so it was named Jinlin. The minimum value of each of the Big Quick Knife 21 workers is also over 10 million yuan. How can you afford it? This gift is too expensive. Upon seeing Nock's irresistible expression, Ian smiled and said, Jinlin is a trophy that teacher Zifa once harvested. I remember you said you wanted to exchange a knife, so I specifically asked the teacher to sell it to me. But the teacher said that there was also a lot of credit for me in the battle of harvesting this knife, so he didn't accept my money. I see. Is this scabbard your new outfit? I had originally prepared a deposit of 5 million yuan to buy a knife, but since I couldn't use the knife, I spent all the money on the scabbard. Silly girl. 5 million berry is not a small amount for a navy. After all, even the marshal's monthly salary is only 1.2 million berry. Not to mention that Ian is just a colonel. Nuachi's moved nose turned sour, and he reached out to embrace the beautiful woman in front of him. I will always carry this knife with me, and I will definitely make it the best sword in the world. Nochi. Just like it. Ian pressed his head into the man's arms, closed his eyes, and silently enjoyed the strong warmth brought by him. For a long time. I murmured like a cat in Norcha's arms, I don't want to go back today. We didn't discuss it and decided to keep it until the wedding day. Stupid husband, didn't I say I wanted to do that? If you can't resist, I'll turn you into a child. There is a double bed in Nochi's bedroom, using the best mattress and pillow. Lying down is very soft, giving people a feeling of being in the midst of marshmallows. This house and furniture were mostly left behind by his late father, Lieutenant General Cordelia Rogers. The mattress was bought by Nock at a high price. When he was in the new recruit camp, due to the difficult training every day, he loved to sleep and rest. In order to sleep comfortably and steadily, he even replaced the original hard mattress. Nochi is quite confident in his composure. After all, he has had frequent contact with the opposite sex since childhood. Therefore, he did not deliberately keep a distance from Ian, but actively leaned in and hugged the soft body of the girl. Ian also likes to be held by him and feels very secure. After many years of interaction, she has already regarded Norch as her most trusted relative. As for her parents, she passed away a long time ago. Just like Norch, she was the child of a martyr. Perhaps it is precisely because two people share the same fate that they gradually come together. At night, the two of them are soundly asleep. Ian couldn't help but turn around and crawled into Norch's arms like a kitten, feeling uncomfortable. He leaned his face closer and felt the other person's breath before finally feeling at ease. The next morning, the two were awakened by a knock on the door. Next came a serious and cold voice. "Norch, are you up yet?" "Uncle Sakaski." "Red Dog General." The two of them coincidentally felt a bit anxious. Nochi has no blood relationship with Sakaski, so he is called Uncle because his father Rogers has a great relationship with Sakaski and entrusted him to him before carrying out an extremely dangerous mission. Sakaski has no children under his knee and has always regarded Nochi as his biological son. When he was very young, he underwent various cruel training to help him lay a solid physical foundation, and was very attentive to everything. Fortunately, Nochi was also considered to be in high spirits and did not embarrass him. He always achieved excellent results. However, Sakaski was still not satisfied with Nochi because he often heard a lot of unprofessional things from Zifa, so he came to scold Nochi from time to time. Sakaski has always held an opposing attitude towards the relationship between Nochi and Ian. Today, the two of them were living together for the first time and were unexpectedly caught by Sakaski. "It's really unlucky. Norch, why don't I take a break?" Ian often heard of the infamous name of the Red Dog General, and coupled with his continued role as Norch's guardian, it made her somewhat afraid of this iron-blooded general. "No need, let's tidy up our appearance first. When I open the door, you can walk out openly and leave the rest to me. Is that okay?" Ian was a bit worried. "Of course. Men can't say no." While Uncle Sakaski has a cruel personality, he still follows the rules. "I don't break the law when talking about girlfriends, so he can scold me at most." "Okay." Then, Nock shouted to the outside, "Wait a moment, I'll be right there." About 10 minutes later, Norch opened the door and behind him was Ian, dressed neatly. "Uncle Sakaski, why did you come?" Red Dog saw Ian's face darken and said, "I heard you did a good job in the new recruit assessment." "Red Dog General." Ian lowered his head and called out. Red Dog's face sank like water. "I have something to talk about with Norch. You go home first." "Okay. Okay." Ian looked back at Norch with a worried expression. Nock squeezed his eyes at her, indicating that he was okay, and then Ian reluctantly left. Red Dog entered the room and sat down on the sofa, his hat buttoned against the table. "I just became a minor general, but I'm so proud and complacent. I've told you before that it's okay to talk about girlfriends, but you need to be careful in moderation. As a result, you just stayed overnight and didn't take my word seriously. If you spend all your time talking about love and romance on training, maybe you can already become a Lieutenant General." Norch explained. "Uncle Sakaski, Ian and I are not what you think. It's because General Kazan and the Flying Squirrel came to my house for dinner last night. After dinner, she took the initiative to help me tidy up the room, but it was too late, so she stayed overnight at my house. When it comes to Kazan and his team, I get angry. As an elder, I just don't lead by example and urge you to train and study. I instill some bad thoughts and habits in you all day long. One day, I must go and argue with him." Cough cough, General Kazan and his team have helped me a lot. For example, my swordsmanship is mostly learned from Lieutenant General Flying Squirrels. Although they do have some bad habits, I have always restrained myself and disciplined myself. You can rest assured. Don't think I don't know. Going home to sleep during training time is the problem you learned from Kazan. My goal was to maximize the utilization of my limited energy. You need to save the energy of talking about girlfriends. I think you can make better use of it. How did you say that and then chat back? He found that Red Dog was no longer opposed to discussing the issue of his girlfriend, but rather had a deep hatred for it, wishing that Nochi could stay single for a lifetime. Although there are many other generals and generals who are single, most of them are too lazy to find or unable to find, and there really is no opposition as radical as him. He has doubted more than once whether Sakaski has ever been stimulated by women. Red Dog sighed and said, "Well, I have no right to interfere with your personal life. I'm just here to remind you. I heard you ate a demonic fruit. Well, nature is a dark fruit. To what extent has it been developed? I haven't had time to develop yet, so I plan to find General Bartolomio to give it a try." Bartolomio. He does have unique insights into fruit development, but I have doubts about his teaching attitude. He usually appears lazy and scattered when participating in formal battles. If he teaches students, wouldn't it be misleading? You misunderstood. My dark fruit is different from the ordinary natural series. I didn't ask General Bartolomio to teach me, I just wanted to spar with him because I think my ability has a certain restraining effect on him. Perhaps I can gain some insights from the battle. Red Dog said, "Let the general be your companion, you have quite a lot of face." "It's okay, it's just my friend." The mention of Nochi's relationship with the yellow ape began on the day Zifa thanked him upon his visit. The yellow ape has always had disagreements with Zifa, and almost no one is convinced. However, Zifa willingly came to a child's door to express his gratitude, which aroused his great interest. So, by chance, Nock got the opportunity to have a solo conversation with the yellow ape. At that time, Nock intended to befriend him, so he naturally picked words he liked to hear, such as, "The yellow ape is more powerful than Zifa, his fruit development is very successful," and so on. The yellow ape was willing to listen to him speak, and over time, the two of them became acquainted. Bang! Bang! Someone has come to visit Norch again. Norch opened the door and said, "Sister Yuan, General Crane." Peach Rabbit Garden smiled and said, "Little Nochi, congratulations on becoming a major general. You're almost catching up to your sister's position. Time flies so fast. When I first met you, you were still a little baby. Now that you have grown into a big man, when will your marriage to little Ian be arranged?" The wedding is not urgent." Nock glanced inside the room. The crane has a keen observation ability. Is General Sakaski also here? Yeah. Nochi invites Peach Rabbit and Crane to enter the house. General Peach Rabbit, General Staff of Crane, you are also here. Sakaski's gaze was not kind, and he felt that Nochi's reason for talking about his girlfriend was definitely related to the guidance of these two people. The Peach Rabbit Garden was not afraid of him and held its head high as it said, "Did you scold my little Nochi again?" Just trying to persuade him to be positive. Red Dog snorted coldly, glanced at the time, picked up his hat, and put it on. "I've finished everything I need to say. I have something else to do, Norch. Don't forget what I just said. Uncle Sakaski, take your time." Nochi walked out the door to see him off. As the Red Dog walked away, Nochi breathed a long sigh of relief. Peach Rabbit Garden pinched his collagen-filled face and said, "I haven't seen you for a few days, but I've become beautiful again. I've grown into a great beauty, little Nochi. Do you want to learn makeup from my sister?" He smiled and said, "Juyuan, if you dare to teach Nochi makeup, Sakaski will have to work hard with you." "Sister, how many times have I told you not to call me a beauty?" If you say I'm beautiful, I'll endure it. Beauty is the bottom line, said Nochi with a black face. Got it, Miss Beauty, what a beautiful scabbard, have you replaced it with a new one? As a swordsman, Peach Rabbit Garden is naturally more sensitive to the existence of knives. Well, it was given to me by Ian, and its name is Jean Lin. Like my Jinpilluo, is Jean Lin from the Great Kwai Dao 21 craftsmanship. Is this a token of love for Xiao Ian? Chapter 4. Kapu's Request. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Peach Rabbit Garden pulled out the golden Lin. Its blade shone golden under the sunlight, like a lightsaber. What a beautiful knife, it's just a piece of art, he said with a smile and praise, holding hands on his back. Yeah, I heard that this knife has always been stored with General Instructor Zifa. I didn't expect little Ian to really get it, so it must have taken a lot of effort. Peach Rabbit said this, put away his knife, took a deep breath, and came to Nock's face. He patted his shoulder hard, his eyes full of murderous intent, and his tone had a strong threat. They've done this for you, little Ian. If you dare to let her down, my sister will cut you off and make you never become a man, understand? Noachi felt a chill in his crotch and smiled helplessly. Sister, you should understand me. Apart from anything else, this matter can definitely be guaranteed. This is true, the young girl from the Navy headquarters has already chased you all over, but you have always been devoted to little Ian alone, which is enough to show your loyalty to her. However, Xiao Ian cares about you so much, and she deserves it. Nochi looked at the time and said, it's almost lunchtime. Why don't Tautu and he wait for a moment while I go make lunch? No, we still have official business to attend to. I happened to pass by your house and came to see you. I'll be staying soon. Peach Rabbit pinched Nochi's face again. He said, by the way, we met Kapu before we came. He seemed to say he had something to talk to you about and would probably come to visit this afternoon. Please let me know in advance. Tao Tu Yuan said angrily, little Norch, if you don't want to see him, just tell me and my sister will help you refuse. He hit you with a bruised nose and swollen face back then, but I still feel angry now. General Kapu. Nock and Cap have an unpleasant history. At first, he was not afraid of tigers when he was a newborn calf. He wanted Cap to teach him how to practice martial arts, and even tried to threaten him with his identity as ace. However, he was beaten severely by the other party, and in turn threatened to kill him if he dared to speak out. At that time, the two of them were talking about a martial arts competition, and it was a bit heavy for Kapu not to hold back. Now when Nock thinks about it, why did he do such a foolish thing in the past? Cap cares most about Luffy and Ace. At that time, there must have been a wrong tendon. No need, let's meet. Since General Kapu specifically came to visit me, it's not appropriate for me as a junior to refuse. He nodded in satisfaction and said, although Cap may be a bit reckless at times, he is still very kind to others. If you had any misunderstandings before, this is a great opportunity to reconcile. As the contemporaneous navy of Kapu, he had already thoroughly understood Kapu as a person. She knew well that Cap was by no means a man who couldn't stop beating Nock, and there must be a reason behind it. After Peach Rabbit Garden and Crane leave, Nochi returned to the kitchen, opened the refrigerator, and took out the leftover ingredients from yesterday, enough to make a double dinner. At the headquarters of the Navy, his cooking skills are among the best, and many naval officers often come to his home to enjoy their meals. It can be said that he made many friends with his ability to conquer the stomachs of others. If he wants to ease the relationship with Cap, the best way is to start from the kitchen. If you come this afternoon. There's still bread in the fridge, so I'll make do with it for lunch. Let's have it with Cap tonight. Nochi realized it was still early. I waited until after 4 p.m., but Cap still didn't come. Norki thought that he would either not come or arrive soon, so he entered the kitchen to start frying. As expected. After finishing the stir-fry, Nochi rested for a while before a loud shout came from outside the door. Ha ha ha, Nochi kid, I'm here. Norki took a deep breath and listened to the other person's tone, feeling as if he was in a good mood. General Kapu, it's been a long time since we last met, but our demeanor remains the same, Nochi said politely with a smile as they met. Kapu is as strong as a cow, with two big hands holding things and grinning. You're not bad either. You've become a major general. I brought you tea and shinbei as gifts. Nochi pondered to himself, why is this old man's attitude so abnormal today? I used to see him with a fierce expression. Cap stretched his neck and sniffed, what a strong aroma of vegetables. Nochi kid, have you cooked yet? Well, I reckon you're almost there. I've prepared a meal specifically for you, so we can have dinner together. I have this intention. Kapus walked into Norcha's house with great strides, not noticing anything, and said, the last time I came here was when your father was alive. Time has changed. Are you familiar with my father? Of course, Roger's stinky kid is even braver than you. There's no one in the entire Navy headquarters who doesn't know him. Oh, that's it. Similar words have been heard by Nock many times from other people. His father, whom he had never met before, was indeed a sensation at that time. Kapu is a foodie who has always heard that nochi rice is cooked well, and today I finally have the opportunity to taste it. Can shredded potatoes make this taste? It's sour, sweet, and quite delicious. This diced chicken is also good, it's both sweet and spicy. You're really a genius, kid. Cap praised his cooking skills endlessly. Nock felt very pleased in his heart, but he didn't dare to slack off at all. He was afraid that if he said something wrong, the old man would get up and beat him up again. Getting beaten up before is nothing. Now he has eaten the dark fruit, enjoying double the pain, and the first time he was hit with a high intensity of kapu, which is really unbearable. Strength. Sooner or later, I will make this old man dare not beat me again. Full of wine and food. Kapu picked his teeth with a wooden stick. Major Cap, don't you have something to tell me? Nock smiled and asked, indeed, there's something going on, kid. I remember you wanted to learn boxing and dominance from me, right? Now I give you a chance. As long as you help me complete something, I promise to give you everything. What's up? Nock was very curious. All navies who have just graduated from the new barracks must be assigned to their headquarters for a period of training, to accumulate practical experience and achievements. At present, there is a shortage of a base commander at the naval base in Luoga Town, East China Sea. I hope you can actively apply to take over this position. I'm afraid it's not that simple. It's not easy to think about my true story, but it's not difficult for you either. Although I don't know how you found out about Ace's whereabouts, this is the end of the matter. I can't really kill you, as long as you promise not to reveal it. In the entire Navy, it is probably only you and me who know the whereabouts of Ace now. Immediately, that stinky kid from Ace will be 17 years old. He has been clamoring to go to sea and become a pirate at 17. I hope you can help me stop him in the East China Sea and prevent him from entering the Great Waterway. It's best to persuade him to become a navy. If it doesn't work out, teach him more skills, such as domineering in 6 movements. If he can have your level, I can rest assured. Why don't you stop yourself? Nock asked him. After all, I was a grandfather who raised him since childhood. He no longer sees me as an opponent, and even if he stops me, he will find a way to run again. And with his rebellious personality, he definitely wouldn't want to learn how to fight from the old man. Teaching him is also a white religion. You are different. As a peer who is not much older than him, you can definitely ignite his fighting spirit to win. As long as he makes up his mind and doesn't win, you won't leave the East China Sea, and my goal can naturally be achieved. There's some truth to what you said. Kid, the opportunity is right in front of you. I always keep my word. Would you be willing to accept my proposal? Let me consider for a few days. Do you know how many people want me to teach him? Give you a chance, but you're still considering it. Nochi smiled and said, after all, there are many people in the Navy who have excellent physical skills. Although you are undoubtedly the strongest, you are also the only one with requirements. If I settle for the second best and seek guidance from General Instructor Zifa or other individuals to pursue higher levels of physical skills and dominance, they will definitely be willing to teach me for free, you kid. What you're saying seems reasonable. Cap patted his head and said, how about adding another reward for me? Besides teaching you domineering and martial arts, I am willing to be your companion at any time. No matter what you practice in the future, you will definitely be at your beck and call. Are you serious about this? The old man said, one no two. Then. I'll consider it again. Why are you still considering it? Because it's also very easy for me to find a companion for training. General Red Dog really wants me to spend time on the training ground every day. If I make a request, he will definitely agree to be my companion. And General Kazan and so on, grab a bunch of them one by one, how do you think we can agree? Cap stared at a pair of round eyes. On the basis of what you just said, promise me 2 more conditions. What conditions? I haven't figured it out yet. I'll let you know once I've figured it out, but rest assured that I won't let you betray the Navy or harm your loved ones. Kapu gritted his teeth and went all out for his beloved grandson. Okay, I promise you. It's a deal. Nochi thought that in the future, he could make the naval hero Cap owe him a favor, and it would be better to accompany him on call. This trip to the East China Sea is definitely not a loss. Coincidentally, he has just been promoted to Major General and does not have his own team yet. He can go to the East China Sea to develop and lay a solid foundation. Since we have reached an agreement, please quickly apply to Kazan for transfer to Logue Town, otherwise he should be transferred to someone else. It's too late today, I'll go tomorrow. Well, okay. Although Kapu fulfilled his wish, the cost he paid far exceeded his expectations, and he felt a bit unhappy and left angrily. We're going to the East China Sea. At night, Nochi lay on a soft bed, thinking alone about things. Even if I apply for a transfer with Kazan tomorrow, it will be a few days before I leave Marinfando. During this time, I will try my skills with Pulsalino. And Ian, when I go to the East China Sea, she has a position and definitely can't follow. I guess it will take some time to comfort her. Thinking and thinking, Nock fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, Ian had the key to the Nock family and bought breakfast to come to his house. Nochi, the sun's shining on your buttocks. It's time to get up. Ian. Nochi rubbed his sleepy eyes and lazily got up from the bed. In front of the dining table. Ian blinked his eyes and asked, Norch, General Sakaski didn't embarrass you yesterday, did he? No, he just gave me a few words of advice, it's okay. Oh. Ian lowered his head and sipped the soup. Nochi took a bite and a half of a sandwich and chewed on it, saying, I'll be leaving Marinfan for a while longer in a few days. Ian thought for a moment and said, are you going to be sent out? Yeah, no matter how old my military position is, as a newcomer from the new barracks, according to the rules, I should go out and hone for a period of time. Ian couldn't hide his disappointment in his eyes. It seems like we won't be able to see Norch every day for a while now. Although we can't see each other, we can use the phone worm to contact each other. I promise to call you every day, okay? Ian nodded lightly and said, have you figured out where to go? I'm planning to go to Rog Town in the East China Sea. I heard there's a shortage of naval base commanders there, and I'm quite interested. With Nochi's strength, at least you need to go to a branch in the Shamhodri Islands or the Great Navigation Channel to be suitable, right? Isn't it a place like the East China Sea where you're not talented? And it's so far from our headquarters that I can't even go see you. Nochi said, although the East China Sea is the weakest sea, it is still a part of the 4 seas. The people there are still suffering from the ravages of pirates and evil forces. I want to start with simplicity, guard peace on one side, and then try to protect more places and even the whole world. This is the speech that Nock had planned last night. After all, Ace's situation cannot be known to others, and he cannot run to Logue Town for no reason. There must be a reason. However, after all, Ian was the person he trusted the most, and Norch simplified some areas that were prone to doubt, still telling her the truth about the matter. He only said that Cap asked him for help, without mentioning anything about knowing Ace's identity. Because he and I grew up together since childhood, I knows everything about him, which can easily lead to unnecessary suspicion. General Cap's grandson wants to be a pirate. Ian was extremely surprised after hearing Nock's words. Well, he thinks I'm trustworthy, so he asked me to go to the East Sea to stop his grandson. So you went to the East China Sea to learn General Kapu's martial arts. Well, I want to become stronger, so strong that no one dares to bully my loved ones, so strong that no one can stop us from doing anything we want. Relatives. Ian's face turned crimson as he said, Norch, although I don't want to leave you, as your girlfriend and future wife, I can't hinder your growth, so. You go, I'll wait for you back in Marinfando. Ian, meeting you is really my greatest luck. You know, it's good. If I'm not here in the future, I can't play around outside. I must stay away from those bad women. I believe in your character, but women can do anything bad and must be careful and careful again. I know my little Ian likes to be jealous, so every time I meet a woman, I report it to you using a phone worm to make you feel at ease, right? Nock chuckled, you say that, it seems like I'm the kind of strict wife who doesn't give her husband freedom. I'm not. Chapter 5. The competition between light and darkness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay, you're not, Nochi chuckled in silence. Ein snorted lightly, tilted his head, pursed his mouth, and his bright eyes secretly looked at Norch as if he was angry. Do you remember that good Western restaurant before? I'll take you to lunch, Nochi said, taking her smooth and delicate little hand. Just finished breakfast and then had lunch. You're not afraid of gaining weight? I'm still afraid. Of course it's not for now. I want to go find General Kazan and General Paulsolino first to explain the transfer to Logue Town and help me train my abilities. Is Nochi going to the training ground later? I also want to go. Ian loves Nock's hard work training and serious combat attitude the most. Moreover, due to Nochi's extraordinary popularity, the number of women on the field inexplicably increases with each training session. Although the vast majority of them have been rejected by Nock more than once. But any woman who hears her boyfriend always being confessed and shown affection by other women cannot sit at home with peace of mind, unless she doesn't care and doesn't love anymore. I'm used to train with Nock, and now of course, the same goes for him. Okay, you go back and prepare first. Let's meet at the training ground later. Ian helped Nock put on his clothes, tidied up his shirt, put on a navy coat, and watched the man go out. She enjoyed this feeling very much, as if she was already Norch's wife. Nochi walked through the bustling town and arrived at the towering fortress of his headquarters, then took a step inside. The office of a naval general is located at the top of a fortress, and there is no such thing as an elevator in this world, so one can only climb up step by step. Nochi went to General Kazan's office first. At this moment, Kazan was surrounded by layers of thick documents, but he himself was wearing an eye mask and lying on the table, snoring soundly. You're slacking off again. Nock lightly tapped on the table. Kazan, as a seasoned general, had a keen sense of perception and almost immediately woke up. He stretched lazily and yawned long. Ah la la, Norch, it's a bit impolite for you to wake me up when I'm sleeping soundly. Lazy during work hours, let's take turns with each other. So, are you looking for me for anything? Regarding my experience as a newly appointed officer going out for training. Oh, that matter. I haven't decided where to send you yet. Do you have any ideas? I want to go to Logue Town in the East China Sea. Logue Town. Kazan scratched his messy curls and said, with your strength and position, going there is really a bit of talent. And I have already selected the person to be sent to Logue Town, and you know him, it's Smog. I chose Logue Town for a reason. Nock repeated the words he had spoken to Ian this morning. Although the East China Sea is the weakest sea, it is still a part of the Four Seas. The people there are still suffering from the ravages of pirates and evil forces. I want to start with simplicity, guard peace on one side, and then try to protect more places and even the whole world. Kuzan patted his head after listening and said, "Ah la la, I've looked at you with new eyes. It turns out you still have such ideals. So can you agree?" I just mentioned verbally to Smog about transferring him to Rog Town, and haven't drafted the transfer order yet. Since you want to go to the East China Sea so much, I promise you the beauty of being a good person. Kuzan, thank you. No need to thank you, but you cannot stay in the East China Sea for too long, at most 1 year. After all, with your abilities, our headquarters still wants to entrust you with important responsibilities. I understand. Kuzan casually flipped through a stack of documents, propped his chin with one hand, and asked as he looked, "Have you told Miss Ein about this?" "I've said it," Nochi nodded. "Even I envy you a bit. It's rare to see women like Miss Ein. Cherish them well. By the way, I'm going to find General Bartolomio soon. Remember when you said you wanted to see us fight, did you come?" Kuzan started yawning again and said, "Let's forget about today. There's still something to deal with. My civil secretary is on leave today, so I can only come in person." "Why did Lingxiang take a leave?" "It said that I'm feeling unwell." "I remember Lingxiang doesn't seem to have a boyfriend. She looks good, has a gentle and patient personality. Don't you try to get along with her." "They don't have this idea about me. Men should take the initiative. I think it's best for you to visit someone today." Kuzan tilted his head and said, "I'm considering." "Think carefully then, I'll leave first." After leaving Kazan's office, Nochi turned to Paulsolino's room. "Noachi little ghost, oh no, I should say. Major General Noachi, why did you think of running towards me?" The yellow ape sat on the purple sofa in the office with its long legs crossed, trimming its nails. "Hee, General Paulsolino, I want to ask you for a little help, to be my opponent for a few days." The yellow ape tilted its mouth, grinned its corners, and pulled its long voice, saying, "Oh, to put it simply, it's just being a companion trainer. I'm very busy." Noachi glanced at him and smiled, "Are you busy trimming your nails?" "You know, in my heart, you have always been the ceiling for fruit development. I think neither Uncle Sakaski nor General Kazan is as good as you. That's why I declined their invitation to be a trainer and came specifically to find you. Are you pretty good at it, kid?" The yellow ape slowly put down his nail clipper and said, "I can guide you, but there is a small condition." "What conditions?" "I'm getting old. Fighting with a young and energetic kid like you requires a lot of energy and needs to be replenished." Nochi immediately realized his meaning. "During these few days of practicing with me, I guarantee that I will personally produce your 3 meals a day." "Okay, I happen to have some free time, so I'll agree to your request. Shall we start today?" The yellow ape slowly put on his clothes and was then pulled to the training ground by Nock. At this time, the training ground is not crowded. "Are those General Yellow Ape and Major General Nochi? They're stepping up, are they going to spar?" "Oh no, hurry up and call the brothers over. This is a rare battle. Sisters, there's a chance to see Major General Norge. Come to the training ground quickly." The Navy, who were originally training, automatically handed over the entire training ground to 2 people and gathered a group of companions to stand outside the field and watch. "Your kid's popularity is so terrifying. I'm an ordinary old man, but there aren't so many people watching." The yellow ape put its hands in its pockets and grinned as it looked around. "It's just a nominal name, it's not worth it." Nochi did not pull out the waist-side Jinlin because he was practicing fruit ability today, not swordsmanship. The yellow ape asked, what percentage of force is more suitable for me to use? Let's start with 20.3%. Norch took a deep breath and a strong black smoke emanated from his body. Perhaps due to his natural talent, he has always been quick to learn everything. Swordsmanship and the 6 styles don't require much effort, and he can master them as soon as he learns them. Nowadays, in terms of fruit ability, his starting point seems to be higher than that of ordinary people. To successfully develop a fruit, be sure to think clearly about its advantages and characteristics. There are 2 characteristics of the dark fruit. One is to attract those with abilities and render all abilities ineffective. The second is the dark gravity that claims to be able to turn all things into nothingness. The former is primarily auxiliary, while the latter is theoretically a versatile skill. Why do you say that? Transforming everything into nothingness first demonstrates its strong aggressiveness. Secondly, the dark fruit has a setting to absorb damage, so does it mean that the damage is also within its ability to be reduced to nothing? Many people only focus on Blackbeard, who always rolls on the ground in pain after eating dark fruits, but fail to notice how quickly his wounds heal. If it were not for this, judging from the performance of the dark fruit, it would be difficult to be called the most vicious name under the premise of being domineering and awakening various fruit abilities. There must be powerful abilities that have not been demonstrated before. The yellow ape lifted its right leg and a dazzling light shone on its toes. You may not underestimate yourself too much. In my opinion, you can withstand at least 40 to 50% of it. Flashing kick. Nock extended his right hand, opened his palm, and black smoke flowed to form a black hole-like vortex. Dark water. The most basic ability to use dark fruits. Ha! The yellow ape suddenly felt an unstoppable suction coming towards him. He simply used this force, stepped on the flash, and headed straight for Norch. At Nochi's current level, dark water is only the size of a palm and can only be used with one hand. Watching the yellow ape about to kick him, Nochi turned to his left hand to release the dark water. In this way, the sudden change in direction of suction can pull the yellow ape's shining leg towards his palm, rather than any other part of his body. What a terrible suction! The yellow ape was unable to resist the gravitational pull of darkness and could only let Norch grab his right leg. Once a capable person is caught by dark water, no matter how strong the demonic fruit ability is, it will become ineffective. The yellow ape cannot use its ability to flash, and it is quite uncomfortable at the moment. Nochi was well aware of the opponent's strength, so he showed no mercy when he moved his hand. He grabbed the right leg of the yellow ape with his left hand and extended his index finger with his right hand, poking it towards the opponent's chest. At this moment, the yellow ape had already reacted and exerted force on its right leg, swinging forward to break free from Norch's grip. Only to this extent, it's far from enough. The yellow ape once again gathered its light and kicked it. Nock quickly stepped back with his razor, knowing that the yellow ape had just released water, otherwise that kick wouldn't have been able to escape at his speed. The secret passage. The surface of Nochi's body emitted endless black smoke, covering the entire training ground. Some debris gradually sank into this thick darkness. The yellow ape still disdained it, raised its right hand, extended its index finger to aim, and slowly shot out a dazzling laser. Nock, this level of darkness is not enough to compete with the light of the old man. Nochi urged black smoke to build a wall in front of him, hindering the propagation of the laser. He never knew this. However, there are still many areas that need to be explored when unleashing the dark fruit ability for the first time. Nochi tried various methods to fight against the yellow ape, and I tried a few moves. The yellow ape has patience and has been accompanying him to test his abilities. During this period, many navies have already come to the sidelines to enjoy this great play. He truly deserves to be a great general of the yellow ape. He can handle any situation with ease. Major General Nock is not bad either, his attacks have become increasingly dangerous. Sisters, I have bought the water. When Major General Norge finishes playing, I will be the first to deliver it. You actually stole a roll from us. No, I have to go buy it too. Ian held the water glass that Nock had given her, his mouth slightly raised, and said, "Humph, my Nock wouldn't take your things. He only wants mine." Nochi discovered the secret of dark water in several battles. The smoke that constitutes dark water is actually ordinary black smoke, and the ability to absorb demon fruits is actually his own. Only when his body touches a capable person can his ability be invalidated. That is to say, aside from invalidation, he can use the infinite gravity released by black smoke to pull anyone to any place, without necessarily having to pull him in front of him. Notch, who understood this point, changed his mind and tried to change the hidden tunnel that covered the ground. Make darkness not only cover, but also rotate like a vortex of dark water. As expected. The yellow ape was once again influenced by strong suction, and he, who had originally used his ability to stand in the air, uncontrollably collided with the black mist below. Even if it turns into a flash, it cannot be shaken off. Dark fruit, it's so scary. If this continues, I'm about to lose. The yellow ape stepped on the laser and kicked towards the area where black smoke was concentrated. For a while. Flash explosion collides with black smoke, and light and darkness cancel each other out. Dark water. Notch saw the opportunity and flashed towards the yellow ape with his razor, raising his hand to grab him. Can't you use your abilities again? It's so uncomfortable fighting with you, Nochi kid. I haven't felt this feeling of being manipulated for a long time. The yellow ape was touched on its shoulders this time, so its feet can still move freely. Even without the speed of light boost, his kicking power is still beyond the capacity of ordinary people. Notch saw him kick, and his speed, strength, and angle made him unavoidable, so he had to use an iron block to forcefully connect. Bang! Nochi kept retreating, leaving a noticeable footprint on his chest clothes. It hurt so much. Nochi gritted his teeth. Fortunately the yellow ape's foot was unable to use its ability, otherwise he would have cried out in pain. Two people, one in front and one behind, one bright and one dark, passed dozens of moves. The yellow ape is more flexible than before this time, and Nock has had a very difficult time dealing with it. Pulsolino, seeing that he seemed to be on the verge of holding on, took the initiative to stop and said, "Major General Nochi, that's all for today. It seems that your level has improved a lot." Nochi took a deep breath, enduring the pain that came from all over his body. The injuries in his body slowly turned into nothingness under the absorption of his dark constitution, and he forced a smile and said, "Yes, you worked hard today. Don't forget your promise. If you don't do well, I won't agree to tomorrow's training. Let's forget lunch and start from today's dinner." The training between Nock and the yellow ape was only a little over an hour at best. But as the saying goes, training is not about quantity, but about precision. Nochi originally thought that the dark fruit had very little in common with other natural systems, and that the yellow ape could not provide him with much help, but rather relied more on himself. But it turned out that he was wrong. Although the yellow ape did not provide him with any language guidance, it constantly guided him to progress through its actions. For example, his various handling methods after being attracted by darkness are helping Nochi discover the problems and drawbacks of his moves, so that he can improve accordingly. Overall, playing against real experts has indeed benefited him greatly. He still has a lot to learn. Chapter 6. Go to the East China Sea. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The yellow ape put its hands in its pockets and slowly strolled away. Major General Nochi. The naval ladies rushed forward and surrounded the teenagers on the training ground. You've worked hard, drink some water and rest for a while. Major General, please drink mine and the cookies I personally prepared. Just after exercising, you should wipe your sweat. I have a towel here, it's me. It's for my personal use. How dare you take out the ones you've used? Do you think Major General is an ordinary man? It's just that Major General Nochi has a cleanliness fetish and never uses things that others have used. Nock has long been accustomed to this situation and uses shaving to break through the encirclement. Ian ran towards him, his red mouth revealing a sweet smile. Husband, here is the water glass you gave me. I've been using it all along, and it's the juice I squeezed inside. Oh, thank you very much. Norki unscrewed the bottle cap and took a few big sips with a thud. The girls watched from behind, as if they had suffered 10,000 points of damage in their hearts. What about the agreed cleanliness obsession? Why doesn't the one she has used count? Another day of jealousy towards Nochi's girlfriend. Ian held Norcha's hand, and the two of them left the training ground like glue under the envious gaze of men and women around them. Marinfando, as the residence of naval elites, has more prosperous facilities than other towns. There are also many restaurants, bars, and so on. After all, military personnel also have the needs of normal people, and their families also live in Marinfando. People who can own property in Marinfando are either naval officers with a rank of colonel or above, or related households with a relatively high average income and sufficient stability. A high income means a high level of consumption, coupled with various subsidies from the Navy, so the industrial development here is very good. Norch and Ian were once related households, and their properties were inherited from their parents. The two entered a simple and minimalist Western restaurant. The elegant colors, soft lighting, clean white tablecloth, and exquisite utensils here, combined with elegant music surrounding, create a strong romantic atmosphere. It can be said that it is the best place for couples to date in Marinfando. It was here that Ian made his last confession to Norch, and it was the place where the two of them fell in love. Due to its high reputation, the prices on the menu are not low. The daily income of Nock and Ian used to be considered very luxurious. However, now that Nochi has been promoted to Major General, his salary has increased significantly, and he can still afford to pay for his meager meals. Order completed. Ein Xiaoniao leaned against his shoulder and asked softly, "Have you set a time to leave?" Nochi shook his head and said, "There is no specific time, I estimate it will be in 3 or 4 days. Oh, do you have to prepare a lot of things for your trip this time? Let's go shopping together." "Sure, General Paulsolino is coming to my house for dinner in the coming days and has prepared all the necessary ingredients together." The two sat quietly, waiting for the dishes to be served. Ian blushed and lowered his head shyly, suddenly saying, "I met Sister Yuan this morning. We talked for a while." "What did she say?" "Miss Yuan said that we are not young anymore, and you are so likable that it is inevitable that other girls will miss you. She asked me to urge you to get married early and have a child to tie your heart. She knows a lot as a single mother and fetus, and she also knows how to tie a man's heart with a child." Nochi chuckled. Ian asked cautiously, "Does Norch like children?" "It's okay, don't listen to her talk nonsense. She hasn't even talked about a boyfriend and pretends to be a romantic saint." Upon hearing this, Ian's eyes revealed a strong sense of disappointment. "Don't Norch want to marry me?" "Well, of course not. It's just too early for us to talk about this now. We're still young and at the age of struggle. I want to wait until I become a general. At least I have the strength to protect my family before considering getting married." "Norch, you're good or bad, how do you say that?" "Because your excuse is exactly the same as that of Sister Ziyuan. She told me that men cheat their girlfriends so much that they want to enjoy the free life before marriage." Norch remained silent for a long time. "I guess she must have read too many love stories." Sister Yuan also gave me 2 books to study more." "Ian, do you believe me? I trust you the most." "Then don't read the books she gave, throw them all away. It's best to burn them. Don't let that kind of thing contaminate your pure soul." Ein blinked and said, "It's just something that Sister Yuan gave me. It's not good to burn it directly, right?" very good. Ian, while I'm away, you can't read the book she gave you. Oh, Knock, I promise you this, but you also have to promise me one thing. What? You cannot have ambiguous relationships with other women, at most it's friends, I mean ordinary friends. It's a deal. Ian was secretly delighted to see the significant effect. These words were all taught to her by Peach Rabbit Juyuan, who had long anticipated that Nochi would react in this way. Peach Rabbit told her that being too rigid in keeping Norki away from women would only make him feel jealous of his girlfriend. Be more flexible in your approach, as it allows Nochi to appreciate her strengths and achieve her goals. Actually, Ian has always believed in Norch, it's just that Yuan wants to help her with extra insurance. No matter how perfect Knock is, he will eventually be a man. As the saying goes, a man's true nature must be guarded against. The two of them chatted in the Western restaurant, sprinkled a bunch of dog food, and then went to the commercial street with satisfaction. Nochi loves sleeping the most. He must buy the best bedding, boss. I want to buy these. And you can't always wear military uniforms. There are normal 4 seasons in the East China Sea, so changing clothes is essential. Toothbrushes, toothpaste, your favorite snacks. Nuachi looked at Ein's crazy shopping for him and said with a sweat, you don't need to buy so much. I can go to Rog Town and buy it now. There's no such thing as a good headquarters in Rog Town. Let's go over there and take a look, Nochi. In the end, Knock and Ian each carried large and small bags of things back home. As dusk approached, Knock quickly went to prepare dinner, and Ian took the initiative to help him. The yellow ape arrived early and ran to the kitchen to observe Norch cooking. Surprisingly, he combined the chef's knife skills with swordsmanship. What a terrible talent. It's average, Nochi laughed Xiao Ian, you're not bad either. You've organized the ingredients in an orderly manner in my opinion, if you two don't work in the Navy and open a restaurant, your business will definitely be booming, and you might even become millionaires. Nochi's eyes lit up and he said, General Paulsolino, can the Navy do a side job, such as opening a restaurant? There's no explicit prohibition, so it's probably okay, kid. Do you want to do a part-time job? I'm just thinking about it now, maybe in the future. The Navy's salary is really too low, and even if we catch bounty criminals every day, there won't be much bonus. If Sakaski finds out about your idea, he will definitely scold you. As a Navy, he cares about property and doesn't even want the glory of the Navy. Could you please keep it a secret for me, General? By the way, I heard that General's salary seems to be the highest among the 3 generals. Do you have any tips for making money? It's very simple. As long as the salary is not enough, I will adhere to the work attitude of working hard without putting in effort. Over time, my salary will naturally increase. I see, no wonder. It seems that the saying, when the salary is in place, the 4 emperors will be kicked out, is not entirely a joke. Tonight. The yellow ape fulfilled its wish and had a sumptuous dinner, promising Nochi to continue training tomorrow. In the next few days, Nochi's life was very fulfilling. Apart from practicing fruit development with the yellow ape every day, he also went home to cook. 5 or 6 days passed in the blink of an eye. The transfer order from the headquarters has finally been issued, allowing Nochi to go to Rog Town as soon as possible to take up his position. Cap happened to be going home to visit his family and planned to drop off Nochi with his foot. Knock naturally agreed. Ian and the other generals learned that Norch was leaving and rushed to the port to see him off. Nochi, once you leave, we may not be able to eat the food you cook for a year. Yes, come back as soon as you finish your training. We can't bear to part with you. But with Nochi's strength, can places like the East China Sea serve as a place for training? The flying squirrel questioned. Kapu was angry and shouted, what's wrong with Donghai? I came out of Donghai, do you look down on me? I dare not. Ein secretly glanced at everyone and tiptoed up while they didn't notice. Her delicate and rosy lips were imprinted on Norcha's mouth. Nochi, when you arrive in the East China Sea, don't forget to use the phone to report safety. I'm not here on weekdays, and I have to eat 3 meals a day. I can't skip breakfast just because I overslept, and... Ian listed a lot of things and reminded me carefully. Why do I have the feeling of a mother giving her son away? Nock chuckled. Do you think I'm old? Ian had a little temper when he heard this. I think my family's Ein has a delicate mind and will definitely be a good mother in the future. Ein blushed as if bleeding from the thought of having children with Nock in the future. Cap strode towards them and said, Kid, have you two little couples said goodbye enough? We should go now. Ian, then I'll leave. Well, be careful on the way. Ian's gaze rested on Norcha's back. Nock turned around and picked up his heavy luggage, stepping onto Cap's dog-headed warship. Kapu's deputy is named Bogart, a swordsman who likes to wear grey suits. He is known for his composure, serving as an indispensable right-hand man for Cap to advise him. Bogart saw everyone present and ordered the navy to anchor and set sail. Cap's warship no longer takes a brief break and sets sail from the port of Marinfando. Ein waited until the warship completely disappeared in the distance before getting up and returning. As a rear admiral of the headquarters, Nock was equipped with independent cabins on the warship for his residence. After packing his luggage, Nochi went out and took a look on the deck. The navy occasionally glanced at him with curious eyes. They rarely have the chance to see Norch on a regular basis. Some people even saw it for the first time, and as rumored, their appearance was unparalleled. If you wear women's clothing, your charm will definitely far exceed that of the women in this department. Bogart is commanding on deck. Major General Bogart, long time no see, Nochi greeted with a smile, long time no see. The last time I saw you was probably during your sparring with General Kapu. Nochi didn't really want to recall his experience of being abused by Cap, so he took the initiative to shift the topic. I've always heard that Major General Bogart is skilled in swordsmanship, and even among the generals, he is outstanding. I wonder if there's a chance to learn from him. Bogart's cold face showed a hint of a smile and he said, Of course, I've heard about your first genius in the Navy for a long time. I've been wanting to see how powerful a genius really is. Can we take action on a warship? It is not allowed by regulations, but General Kapu's ship has never been strict with so many rules, as long as facilities are not deliberately damaged. Okay. Bogart asked the navies to make room. The two of them stood up and prepared to take action. Cap stood next to him, holding a ferry bag in his hand and laughed heartily, Nock kid, you really can't sit still. Bogart is not an ordinary deputy, and you're not his opponent yet. We always have to give it a try to determine the outcome. Nochi's thumb pulled out the golden scales on his waist, and the sunlight shone on his blade, reflecting a dazzling golden light. Good knife. Bogart also drew his own sword. The two of them fixed their eyes and almost simultaneously took action, rushing out at a speed that was difficult for ordinary people to reach with the naked eye. They collided in the air, causing a fierce wave of energy. So impressive. The surrounding navies were stunned. They haven't seen Bogart take action before, but it's the first time they've been so serious. In the past, when encountering pirates, it was often General Kapu who would punch him 2 times in the box, and Bogart would sweep the formation nearby, so he hardly needed to take action. Your swordsmanship has both a hint of flying squirrel swordsmanship and a lot of peach rabbit garden feeling. It's really interesting. You're not bad either. The two of them stepped back temporarily when they saw each other struggling with each other. Nochi waved the sparkling golden lin in his hand, igniting a golden sword aura. Bogart drew again with a green sword aura. Subsequently, Bogart stopped probing and used all his strength, suddenly doubling his speed. What a fast knife. Upon seeing and hearing this, Nochi launched a domineering attack, attempting to find the opponent's movement trajectory. Unfortunately, the opponent's speed is too fast to capture at his level. Only by relying on the instantaneous response of muscles can one resist Bogart's attack. In fact, Nock has a way to deal with this situation. He has been practicing the dark fruit ability with the yellow ape for many days, and the results are significant. He can completely use the dark gravity to disrupt the opponent's movement, and then unexpectedly give a fatal blow. But Nock admits that his swordsmanship is not as good as Bogart's. Without learning, he will not make progress. If it is a particularly important battle, he will naturally use all his means. It's just a sparring, it's completely unnecessary. Moreover, this is a pure swordsmanship competition, and winning with one's abilities is not honorable. Nochi couldn't find the flaw under the opponent's sharp sword, and in the end, without exception, he lost. Although Bogart won, he gave Norch a very high evaluation. Major General Norch, you truly deserve to be the first genius of the Navy. If I were this age, I probably wouldn't even reach half of your level. Nochi sheathed his sword and said with a smile, during the time from Marinfanduo to the East China Sea, can I often engage in sparring with seniors? It's hard not to meet an opponent of your level. Haha, it seems that I won't be so bored on this journey anymore. There are a few good shows to watch, Kapu said, clapping as he sat on the side. Chapter 7. Chudarog Town. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It takes about half a month without stopping from Marinfando to Logue Town. This is still the result of Navy warships being fast, coupled with the presence of sea towers at the bottom of the ship that can directly cross the windless zone. For over half a month, Nochi has been practicing with Bogart almost every day. A few days ago, Bogart still had an absolute advantage, but as the days continued, Nochi made remarkable progress. By about 15 days, he would be almost evenly matched with Bogart. He is simply a genius among geniuses. Even Cap said that Nochi has a monster-like talent in swordsmanship. In fact, it's not just that, Nochi also has monster-like talents in other aspects. He couldn't explain the specific reason clearly. Perhaps it was because Sakaski laid the foundation for his devil training when he was a child, or perhaps it was because of his special physique, or perhaps it was due to other more mysterious reasons. During this period, Nochi became familiar with the Navy on the Cap ship and learned about many embarrassing incidents during the Cap voyage. At the same time, Cap also charged him a fee for taking a boat, which was to have him cook in the kitchen every day. Nock originally refused. However, Cap said that my deputy accompanies you to practice swordsmanship every day, so you have to show it no matter what. He reluctantly agreed. Bogart did indeed provide great help for his improvement in swordsmanship. You can give some rewards. After a long voyage, Cap's dog-headed warship sailed through the windless zone into the East China Sea and finally stopped at the port of Rogue Town. Cap said loudly, Nochi, let's say goodbye here. I will contact you again in the future. Don't forget our agreement. Don't worry, General Kapu. You also need to be prepared to fulfill the agreement. Nock carried a heavy luggage on his back, filled with various things that Ian had prepared for him. Bogart's cold face showed a faint smile and he said, I really don't get used to it without you to accompany me in the future. When you return to our headquarters, don't forget to come back to me, and we'll have to decide the winner again. Definitely. Nochi jumped off the warship and set foot on the land of Rogue Town. A triangular memorial archway is erected at the port of Logue Town, which is written in English. There are various shops on the street, with a dense flow of people, making it one of the busiest towns in the East China Sea. After delivering Nochi, Cap instructed the warship to leave the port and continue sailing towards the kingdom of Goya, where Windmill Village is located. Nock entered the town with a large backpack on his back, and due to his high appearance and wearing the unique coat of a naval officer, the people paid special attention to him. What a beautiful naval lady, carrying such a big package, she has such great strength. Fool, look carefully, that's clearly a man. It's impossible. A man can't be so good looking, but judging by his physique, he doesn't look like a woman. Nochi was too lazy to argue with the pedestrians. As he walked, a golden-haired and big-eyed loli appeared in front of him. "Sister, how beautiful you are." "Don't call me sister, call me brother," Nochi said with a pretty black face. "Oh, brother, you're so beautiful. Can't you change the word? For example, handsome." Loli blinked her water blue eyes and tilted her little brain. "But my brother isn't handsome, my dad is." "Your dad?" Nock always feels a bit of an impression of girls, but he can't remember where he has seen them before. "That little girl is Dottie's daughter. Dottie killed our boss, and if we can't kill him, we'll kill his daughter for revenge." Several ferocious-looking pirates surrounded. Rog Town is the place with the highest frequency of pirate sightings in the entire East China Sea, and almost every day there are pirates rampaging here. Therefore, the residents here have long been accustomed to this situation and have been hiding far away. There is a navy and many bounty hunters guarding this town, and pirates dare not be too reckless, but there are occasional small fights and disturbances. "Navy woman, get out of the way, get in the way, and we'll kill you together." The weaker the pirate, the shallower their knowledge, often more arrogant than the pirate who offers a reward of over 100 million. "Women." Noachi sneered and touched Jean Lin with his right hand. "Pirates, if you can't forgive me, then kill to death." A golden light flashed through the crowd, and Nochi, carrying a large package, instantly changed his position and came to the back of the pirates. With the completion of the knife retraction action, several pirates fell to the ground almost simultaneously with a splash. Blood trickled down the neck to the ground. "Ah! There's blood." The blonde little loli was frightened. "Who dares to bully my daughter?" A man wearing a brown cowboy hat, draped in a gray robe, and covered in handguns all over his body, ran aggressively towards the blonde loli. "Dad, there was a bad guy just now, and it was this brother who protected me," said Xiaolai as she shook the man's arm vigorously. "Oh. Your Excellency is." The man stared at the word, justice, behind Nochi. Nochi turned around and smiled, Rear Admiral of the Navy Headquarters and newly appointed Base Commander of the Rog Town Naval Branch, Colonel Cadilia Nochi Dottie. "Long time no see, how have you been lately? I heard that Rog Town has appointed a new naval base commander, but I didn't expect it to be you. Have you become a Rear Admiral after several years of not seeing each other? You're amazing. Dad, do you know your brother?" Nochi was his father's junior in the Navy before. The surrounding crowd heard the conversation between the two, causing a huge uproar. This overly beautiful man is a Rear Admiral of the Navy Headquarters. The highest position of the former base commander was the colonel of the headquarters, and a major general was 2 levels older than a colonel. Too young. The safety of Log Town is guaranteed from now on. Dottie took his daughter's hand and said, "I know the location of the naval base. Come with me, I'll take you there." "Thank you very much." Nochi followed Dottie all the way and soon saw the sign of the Navy's Libra Seagull. The Rog Naval Base is not very large, with several buildings surrounding a small training ground. There is a bulletin board at the entrance of the base, with many pirate bounty orders posted on it. Nochi knows 4 of them. Captain Aaron of the Dragon Pirates, Pirate Commander Crick, Bachelor Clough, and Joker Bucky. "Mr. Dottie, are you here to exchange the bounty?" The Navy standing guard at the door recognized Dottie. "I'll take your new chief to identify the way." "Sir." The Navy looked up and saw a beautiful woman standing upright. "Is this young lady our new commander?" "If your eyes are useless, I suggest you don't take it," said Nochi with a gloomy face. The Navy heard a neutral voice and then contacted the other person's relatively strong physique. Realizing that they had made a big mistake, they immediately stood up straight in a military posture and said, "Sir, I didn't mean to, please forgive me." Nochi took out a transfer order stamped by the headquarters and asked, "Who is currently holding the largest position in the base?" After Colonel West's death, Sergeant Carter remained in charge. "Take me to meet him." Obey me. The Navy first put the package aside for Nock, and then called in a few people to help move it. Dottie said, Nock, you keep busy first, we won't disturb you anymore. Brother, come and play with me when you have time, said Zyaluli with half-exposed tiger teeth. Okay. Nock smiled and agreed. In the corridor, Nochi looked through the window and was attracted by a black short-haired girl. Sir, her name is Dashi. She has just joined the Navy and is a newcomer with great potential in Kendo. It's definitely worth cultivating, Nochi thought deeply. Daki, wielding a wooden sword, fought alone against 3 Navy members and still had the upper hand, making him a versatile talent. Come to the office of the base manager. Sergeant Carter sat on a wooden chair, looking down to organize the documents. Sergeant, the new commander sent by our headquarters has arrived. Carter quickly stood up and saluted the army. Major General, half a month ago our headquarters notified us of your arrival. We do not know your specific arrival time, so we have not received you far away. We hope you can understand. It's okay. Nochi sat in the position of base commander, which originally belonged to Carter but now belongs to him, and casually flipped through the documents on the table. Carter introduced, This is the information I have compiled for you about the Rog Town base. There are some areas that are not detailed enough, and I will improve them as soon as possible. It's already quite good. The finance, weapon equipment, personnel arrangements, and so on of the base have been recorded very clearly. Thank you very much. Nochi put down the document and asked, Is there any black and evil force in Log Town now? Except for the pirates who settle in Rog Town every day, there is only one group of bandits with particularly strong black and evil forces. However, they only charge protection fees and have never harmed the people. Mountain bandits. His name is Bartolomio and his gang, and almost all the towns near Log Town are his territory, with a very strong influence. Old Bartolomio is a kind of demon fruit ability, with invincible strength. The people we are trying to send to eliminate are not his opponents at all. Do you have his specific location? Not at the moment, as he hardly causes trouble. We have stopped paying attention to him for a while. Norch nodded and said, I see. You go ahead and get busy with something else. I'll take a good look at these materials. Good. Sergeant Carter withdrew. Although Nochi was appointed as the base commander for the first time, the scale of the naval base in Rog Town is relatively small, and various information statistics are very convenient, so it is not difficult to sort out the situation. Nochi finished reading the results of Sergeant Carter's statistics. Overall, Log Town is not lacking in anything, with abundant funds and abundant weapons reserves. If we have to mention one drawback, it is that there are too few talents. He is probably the only one who can truly confront strong enemies. The naval training is scattered, and the usual training time is very short. No wonder the combat effectiveness is low. Nochi plans to first arrange more rigorous training content. He has seen naval exercises at the headquarters and plans to demand his subordinates to quickly improve their overall combat effectiveness according to the standards of the headquarters. Anyway, there aren't many people, so it's easy to manage. Perhaps the Navy may not be used to it a few days ago, but they will eventually adapt after a while. In addition, he also wants to promote Daki. In theory, Daki's swordsmanship talent may not necessarily be lower than any lieutenant general in the Navy. After all, she was able to become a somewhat famous swordsman even without receiving guidance from a renowned teacher in the original work. Moreover, Dashi Chi has far more perseverance than ordinary people and can endure hardships. Who should I cultivate if I don't cultivate her? So in the afternoon, Nock called all the navies at the base to the training ground for a lecture. The navies learned that the new base commander was a rear admiral from their headquarters and the youngest rear admiral in history, and they were all impressed by him. Nock presented to them the training plan he had developed. 24 hours a day, of which 8 hours are used for sleeping, 2 hours for eating, 10 hours for training, and the remaining 4 hours for free activities. The balance between work and rest is very reasonable. According to military duties, it should be Sergeant Carter leading everyone in training. Carter works diligently, but unfortunately, as he enters middle age, it is difficult for him to achieve any more. Therefore, to everyone's surprise, Nochi made an exception by elevating Dashi, who had just joined the Navy. Daki's strength far exceeds that of an ordinary Navy, which is evident to everyone. However, let a newcomer lead them, and the Navy is still quite dissatisfied. Major General, why don't you let someone else take on this position? Even Dashi Chi felt insecure. Notch had anticipated such a reaction from everyone and smiled. Let me make a bet with you. If within a week, I can have Daki defeat you all on her own, and you will be convinced of her, no one can talk about qualifications anymore. Carter was the first to agree. I agree with Major General's proposal. I agree too. Me too. Everyone unanimously agreed that although Daki has good talent, a week is too short to make a significant improvement. If so, then they have no reason to disagree. That's settled. Before the outcome of the bet, Sergeant Carter will have you temporarily lead everyone in training. Obey me. Daki stays, the others can disband now. Major General, your expectations of me are too high, and I'm afraid I won't be able to achieve your goals. Daki lowered her head, feeling uneasy inside. She was afraid that she would cause discord within the base and damage Nochi's reputation. Without explanation, Nock asked, do you have your own sword? Yes. Bring it over. Please wait a moment. Dashi Chi hurriedly left and rushed back with a knife in his arms. Major General, this is a knife passed down from my family, named Shiyu, and it ranks among the 50 skilled and skilled swords. Nochi casually pulled out a wooden knife from the barrel by the training ground. Now you use Shiyu, try to defeat me who uses a wooden knife. Are you serious? I'm afraid I might hurt you. You don't have the ability to hurt me yet. Hurry up and take action, Nochi said with a faint smile on his lips. You're careful. Daki pushed her black-rimmed glasses, clasped the handle of the rainbow knife with both hands, took a deep breath, and swung her knife to strike. Unexpectedly, Nock's knife was surprisingly fast. Before she could make her first cut, the wooden knife had already collided with Shiyu's blade. Pop it. Daki's hands detached from the handle of the knife, and Shiyu fell heavily to the ground. What did you experience with that knife just now? Quick, very fast. Your strength is also very strong, Major General. You are too powerful. Do you want to learn swordsmanship from me? Nock asked again. Dashi nodded heavily. As my disciple, the only rule is to always believe what my master says. So don't doubt whether you can complete the task I assigned you anymore. I said yes, absolutely yes, understand, I understand. Chapter 8. Ship / You are listening at novelfull.audio. Daki's bright eyes were particularly firm. Nochi casually threw the wooden sword back into the bucket and said, your swordsmanship is in its early stages, and laying a solid foundation is very important. So from today on, in addition to participating in daily practice, you also need to swing the sword 3,000 times a day. Is there a problem? No. Great, it's not too late. Let's start now. Dashi picked up Shiyu from the ground, tightly grasped the handle of the knife with both hands and raised it above her head, then quickly fell down, repeating this process. The force is too light, can you move others by chopping like this? Sorry. Dashi took a deep breath, adjusted her state, and gradually increased her sword-wielding power. The posture cannot be deformed. The height has decreased, are you slacking off? Sorry. This is the first time that Daki has been taught so strictly. It turns out that her teacher, because she is a woman, does not demand her from the standards of a man. Nock's actions made her feel very comfortable. Therefore, even if Daki is extremely tired, she must do her best to meet Nochi's requirements, tighten her nerves, and make every movement of her arms more in line with the level that a swordsman should achieve. After a long time, Notch saw that her movements were standard, so he stopped correcting them and left her to practice slowly on her own. He hasn't had time to pack the luggage he brought from the headquarters yet. Previously, he only had someone help him deliver it to his room. The base commander's room is different from ordinary naval dormitories and is an independent area. The furniture inside is simple and outdated, giving it a strong sense of the times. Nock took out the same thing from the package, first made the bed, and then systematically put the items into the cabinet one by one. It took about an hour and finally it was organized. Nochi saw through the window that Dashi was sweating profusely, gritting his teeth and still persistently wielding his sword, feeling relieved. 3,000 swings are indeed quite intense for her now. I think he also came this way back then. After all, no matter how talented he is, his foundation needs to be gradually built. The affairs in the base are basically arranged properly. Norch took out the phone worm and dialed the number of Ian, who was far away from the headquarters. Ian seemed to have been waiting and immediately connected. "Nock, is that you?" "Well, I have already arrived in Logue Town. The environment here is good, and I have also taken in an apprentice." "Can't she be a female apprentice?" Ian's gentle and warm smile gradually solidified. "Sometimes a woman's feelings are outrageous." Yes. Nochi always tells the truth, I only treat her as an apprentice. She is young, only 14 or 15 years old, and has a strong talent for swordsmanship. I also lack manpower here, so I want to cultivate her well. Ian breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing this and smiled. "Don't worry, I'm not that easily jealous. It would be great to have an apprentice, and Norch is also going to become an excellent teacher." "How has Ian been lately?" "The new batch of Navy recruits has arrived, and teacher Zifa and I are preparing our teaching plan. We are a bit busy. Moreover, Nochi is not here, and I miss you very much every day. I usually come to your house every 2 or 3 days to clean the house and sleep under your bed. Smelling the familiar smell, I feel more at ease when I sleep. Don't awaken any strange fetish. Hee, my hobby has always been you. I like everything that belongs to you." The two talked sweetly for a while. Ian suddenly suggested, "Nock, can you sleep with me in the future? How can I accompany you? We use phone worms to communicate all night long, so we can hear each other's sleeping sounds, as if Norch is by my side." This remote sleeping method was very common in Nochi's past life, but now it has been developed by Ian. But telephone worms are not entirely telephone. It also has life and will be tired. Communication all night long will probably die. Nochi had already noticed a clear sense of terror from the round eyes of the telephone worm. "I'm fine, but the phone worms can't stand it. I'm afraid we won't be able to use it this way for long. Our phone worms should both pass away. Then don't keep in touch all night. Spend a fixed time every night chatting with me, okay? It's possible, but I have something to deal with right now. I'll call you back later." Nuachi saw Daki lying on the flat ground, feeling completely exhausted after practicing his sword swing. As a master, he couldn't ignore it. "Well, go ahead and get busy, I'll wait for you." Nochi hung up the phone, put on a navy jacket, and arrived at the training ground. Daki was panting heavily, her limbs were sore, and sweat completely soaked her glasses and clothes. "Major General, I have fulfilled your request," she said. "Well done." Nock gave affirmation. "Dashi-chi probably won't be able to wake up for a while. She can't just lie on the ground like this, otherwise she will catch a cold." So, Nochi had to reach out and pick it up from the waist with the princess's embrace. "Where is your dormitory?" "I'll take you back." Dashi reluctantly raised her arm and pointed upwards. "I'm sorry, Major General, I've caused you trouble. It's just a small matter, what your master should do." Norch confirmed her position and took a big step towards the stairs, encountering several sailors halfway through. The Navy didn't think much. After all, they could clearly see the process of Daki practicing swordsmanship. As the base commander, taking care of subordinates is a normal thing for Nochi. There are only 2 girls in the entire naval base. Therefore, there is only one female dormitory, and due to privacy concerns, it has been arranged separately in a corner on the 2nd floor. Nock raised his hand and knocked on the door. Dashi, you came back so late today. The girl who opened the door was a young and cute girl with black shawl hair and a small and delicate figure. Oh, you are Major General. The girl, as the cook in the base, had not yet seen Norch's appearance, but she recognized the rank on her coat. Norch nodded and stepped into the room, placing Daki safely on the bed. She's been training too tired today, please take care of her, he said, okay. The girl stared fixedly at Norch's face. The unparalleled beauty of a man's appearance does not affect his strong masculinity. And the gentle and considerate movements at this moment. The girl's heart was pounding like a deer. She's in love, it's her first time liking a man in her life. In the past, she was completely uninterested in the opposite sex. She preferred women's faces and everything about women. After seeing Nochi, she was snapped straight by the other party with just one glance. How could there be such a beautiful and lovely man? After all, it was a girls' dormitory, and Nochi couldn't stay for a long time. After giving instructions, he pushed the door open and went out. I must take him. The girl raised her little fist and made a decision. Love cannot be held in the heart, it should be expressed boldly. As the saying goes, to win a man's heart, the first step is to conquer his stomach. The girl has confidence in her cooking skills and is sure to conquer the young general. Starting tomorrow, Major General's 3 meals a day will be personally made by me, Andrea Verena. It's already late at night. Norch returned to his room and contacted Ian with a phone worm. After chatting for a while, he went to bed. Due to the basic arrangements in the base. He has nothing urgent, he wants to sleep in. In the early morning, a knock on the door woke him up. Nuachi, feeling restless, went to open the door and found the Navy holding a plate with exquisite breakfast on it. Just looking at it was very appetizing. Major General, I'll bring you breakfast. The Navy was a bit nervous. Oh, thank you. Nochi took it in surprise. So, when I was the base commander, I still had this kind of treatment. Strangely enough, Norch picked up one of the sandwiches and actually drew a symbol of love on the bread slices with tomato sauce. However, Nochi didn't think much. He opened his mouth and finished eating, then lay in bed and took a nap. Wait for him to wake up again. The Navy is practicing on the training ground. Nochi paid a little attention and Daki practiced very seriously. He didn't give up today's training because he was exhausted from 300 sword swings yesterday. He did not misjudge anyone. Nochi put on his clothes, put on his sword, and planned to take a walk on the street. Perhaps the pirates heard that there was a rear admiral guarding Logue town. Nochi did not see any pirates on the way. He walked and arrived at the entrance of a weapons store. Isn't this the weapons store that Sauron went to in the original work? The store is not very large, although the sparrow is small, it has all 5 organs, and various weapons are arranged very compactly. On the shelves, inside the wooden barrels, there are also walls, armor, sharp blades, long spears, and more, which are rich and diverse. Welcome to our store, you are the new Major General. I have heard so much about you. If you have anything you want, just let me know and we can offer you a 10% discount. The weapons store has close contact with the Navy. Therefore, Boss Ikamoto Matsudaira has always had a good relationship with the Navy in Logtown, and now it's even more so. Nuachi looked around and smiled, there should be many pirates or evil forces coming to you to buy things, right? A book was taken aback at a moment of relaxation. As the owner of a weapons store, how can one completely distance oneself from the black and evil forces? Moreover, he has indeed sold it, and even takes pride in others using his weapons to gain fame. Of course, he couldn't admit it and quickly concealed his inner panic with a smile. "You're joking, we're a century-old shop. We've always been honest and straightforward in our business, how could we possibly have any connection with pirates? Is that right?" Nochi casually took down a knife and touched the blade with his finger. "As far as I know, the Navy in Logue Town has not had any record of purchasing weapons for a long time. So, apart from the pirates, only bounty hunters will visit this shop. Judging from your booming business, do Logue Town have so many bounty hunters? Or do bounty hunters need to change weapons so frequently?" Ben Song said, "Rogue Town is frequently frequented by pirates, and it's also common for ordinary people to buy weapons for self-defense. Since you have a clear conscience, can you show me the ledger?" "Sir, the ledger is one of the most important things in a store. How can you take it out casually? Even if you are a navy, you cannot be so domineering." "Oh." Nochi's eyes froze, and his fierce aura frightened Ben Song into sweating all over, causing him to fall on the ground. Just as Ben Song thought his end had come, Nochi suddenly shifted his gaze to another place and said, "Forget it, you're right. The Navy can't force others, otherwise what's the difference with pirates?" Nochi searched in the wooden barrel with some inferior swords inserted, and as a swordsman, he could judge the quality of the sword based solely on his senses, even if he had not read the famous sword illustrated. "Found it." Nochi pulled out the third-generation Ghost Toru hidden in the inferior sword, and the flame-patterned blade looked particularly beautiful. "Sir, that knife." A book hesitated to speak, as he had already seen the Jinlin hanging on Nochi's waist. As a weapon expert, he could recognize the identity of the knife just by the handle. The Major General of the main unit carrying the great sharp knife 21 workers must be a top swordsman, and he can recognize the third-generation Ghost Che without saying anything. "I'll take this knife." Although Nochi is a skilled swordsman who doesn't need 2 or more swords, he has a hobby of collecting famous swords. He didn't have the opportunity before, but now that he has the opportunity, how can he miss it? Moreover, he wants to learn the second and even third swordsmanship easily. "Do you really want to use a demon sword, sir?" Since ancient times, swordsmen who use demon knives have never had a good ending. As the owner of a weapons store, Ben Song has a bottom line of professional ethics, can cheat people's money, and will never harm people's lives. In his view, selling the demon knife to customers is tantamount to a behavior that harms people's lives. Nochi played with the third-generation Ghost Che and smiled, the so-called demon knife is just scaring outsiders. The reason why the demon knife dominates is mainly because the owner of the knife cannot make the knife recognize him, not because the knife itself has a curse. As long as the swordsman's own abilities are strong, there will be no situation of defeating the master, so it's like this. Ben Song suddenly realized and believed Nochi's words. The other party has long resided in the Great Waterway and often fights against unimaginable strong opponents, which is bound to broaden their horizons. By the way, do you still have a famous sword here? Nochi remembers that the treasure of a pine shop is Shuezwa, who ranks among the 50 skilled workers in the field of good and fast knives. "Yes, but I see that you have a sense of belonging. I want to entrust that knife to the warrior who needs it more." "Okay, how much does it cost me to buy the third-generation Ghost Che?" "I'm afraid I'll only meet you in my life who has the ability to wield this sword, so let's treat it as a gift for you." Ben Song was so intimidated by him that he dared not ask for money. "Ha ha ha, I'll be more respectful than obedient." Nochi accepted 3 generations of Ghost Che and happily left the weapons store. Just obtained a new knife. Although Nochi knew it wasn't as sharp as Jinlin, he still wanted to test its sharpness. In fact, Nochi came out for a walk today for 2 main purposes. One was to familiarize himself with the geographical environment of Logue Town, and the other was to kill more pirates, establish a reputation, and make a warning to people all over the East China Sea. The Navy always likes to catch people, and it is rare to directly punish pirates. Nochi believes that catching alone is not enough to form a warning. Only by eliminating the root cause can people truly understand the risks of being a pirate. Since you have become a pirate, you must have the consciousness to go to hell. In this regard, he was somewhat influenced by General Sakaski. But he is far from as outstanding as Sakaski. He is just killing villains, and sometimes Red Dog even kills civilians in order to eradicate the root cause and eliminate future troubles. Nochi arrived at the port all the way, and a pirate ship was berthing here. The pirates were constantly moving supplies onto the ship. Hee, little ones, let's head towards the great waterway and seize the world's largest treasure. Whoever dares to stop us, will kill anyone, ha ha ha. I heard there are also many beautiful women in the Great Navigation Channel, so we must grab a few to accompany me to sleep. Women are more flavorful than others' wives. You've searched several villages you've robbed before, but you haven't slept enough yet. It's time for a change. Amidst the laughter and joy of the crowd, a golden sword aura reaching several zhang hai attacked them. The massive pirate ship was instantly cut off. What happened? This smooth cut, can we say that the ship was cut off with a knife? Are you joking? How could this happen? Nochi slowly withdrew his knife and said, "Third generation Ghost Che, I feel like it's not as easy for Jinlin to use. Ship slash, a specialized skill for the appearance of the great swordsman." Chapter 9. The Pursuit of Material Life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Next, it's time to clean up the stains. Nochi smiled indifferently, and the wisps of black smoke made his peerless appearance look somewhat sinister. A thick black mist rose and enveloped the pirate ship in all directions. What kind of thing is this? The pirates were panicked and took out guns hidden in their pants, shooting continuously at black smoke. Unfortunately, it didn't have any effect. The black mist continued to spread towards them at a speed visible to the naked eye. Smoke is corroding our ship. What kind of mysterious power is this? Is it God's punishment on us? It must be, otherwise who else has such ability? Captain, come up with a solution. The supplies, cannons, flags, and everything on board gradually turned into nothing under the invasion of darkness. The pirates watched their own pirate ships, and under the invasion of black mist, the space became increasingly narrow. They dare not think of anything now, gathering together in a trembling group, just trying to save their lives. Help, who will save us? We don't want to be pirates anymore, let's go home. I still have a wife and a child under 2 years old at home. Give me another chance, I promise I won't be a pirate anymore. One by one, the pirates burst into tears, crying profusely. Even worse, they kept hitting the wall with their heads, regretting how they had chosen the path of pirates. The pirate captain no longer has the delusion of conquering the great waterway. He only wants to know one thing now. Who exactly wants their lives? Darkness can absorb everything, including sound. Therefore, Nock could not hear their confession at all, nor did he want to hear it. In no time, darkness completely wiped out everything from the pirate group in this world. The passers-by witnessed one scene after another. Cutting off the massive pirate ship with one blow has already shattered their understanding. As a result, Nock was able to make the entire pirate group disappear out of thin air. It's not enough to describe this new naval officer as a monster. It's like a monster among monsters. Nochi, it's been a few years since I last saw you. Have you reached such a strong level? This is not something that an ordinary young general can achieve, at least you have reached the level of a general. Colonel Dottie, are you here too? Nochi turned to look at the middle-aged man with a beard all over his face. Well, the pirate Captain Sparrow you just solved is a pirate with a bounty of 1.5 million berry, and he is somewhat famous in the East China Sea. I came here to kill him in exchange for the bounty, but you took the lead. 1.5 million. Nuachi was tempted and asked, how much money can you make in Rog Town in a day? If there are more, it will be 2 to 3 million berries, and if there are less, it will be around 500,000 berries. There are often many pirates coming and going in Log Town, but their strength is weak and they are easy to earn. But if all the pirates in the future are defeated by you like today, I will earn less money. As a major general, your monthly salary is only around 500,000 yuan, but as a result, you can earn at least 500,000 yuan a day. I'm a bit discouraged. Nochi admits that he does not have such a high spiritual realm, and his pursuit of material life still exists. Upon careful consideration, as a navy, there are only a few ways to make money. Either promotion and salary increase, or doing a side job. If professional ethics are slightly corrupt, you can also accept bribes. Accepting bribes is fine. Nochi was afraid that Sakaski would find out, so he decided to take action for himself, and he has always been honest and upright. How can such a heinous thing be done? After much consideration, Nock realized that the Navy's regulations did not seem to require that one should not cooperate with bounty hunters to make money. Even if there is, he doesn't remember. Why do we have to memorize the theoretical exam papers that were originally determined by Ian? No matter what. Colonel Dottie, I have a proposal. If you have anything to say, please speak. Anyway, our headquarters won't investigate whether the bounty hunter defeated the bounty hunter. So, in the future, whether it's the pirates I defeated or the pirates you defeated, they will all be counted as your spoils of war. In this way, you can earn more bounty without worrying about me and you competing for business. Isn't it the best of both worlds? Dottie smiled and said, your kid always gets up early without any benefits. What are your requirements? I don't want much either. For any pirates I defeat, you can give me all the 6 achievements of the bounty. Haha, so you have this idea. Not only can you eliminate a strong competitor, but you can also get a partner. This suggestion is really good, and I agree. Cheer up. Nock continued, I have one more thing to ask of you. What's going on? Have you ever heard of the Bartolomio group? There are probably not many people living in Log Town who don't know this name. Do you want to take action on them? Well, I would like you to inquire about Bartolomio's current position. Okay, I'll keep an eye out for you. Thank you very much. A black mist rose again behind Nock. Liberation. The wreckage of the pirate ship and the body of the pirate fell out of endless darkness with a loud crash, landing in front of Dottie. There should be the bounty offender you mentioned among them, so I won't draw the reward this time. It will be the reward I asked you to help investigate. Oh, good. At this point, the pirate ship had already been crushed to pieces, completely like a pile of sawdust. As for the pirates, their bodies were covered in injuries and their deaths were extremely tragic. Even Dottie, who has been fighting on the Great Waterway for many years, was shocked to see this scene. What a strong fruit ability. After finding the bounty offender, Dottie carried the body on his shoulder and returned to the naval base with Norch. Nochi personally helped Dottie sign the arrest warrant. After receiving the bounty, Dottie hurriedly went to find his daughter. He is a reliable daughter slave, wishing he could spend 24 hours a day with his daughter. If anyone becomes his son.in.law, life will definitely not be easy. Nochi was bored and drowsy, with Sergeant Carter watching over the Shanghai Army training ground. He looked for a while, but couldn't find any problems. He basically followed his plan. It's just that the Navy soldiers lack exercise, and many of them can't keep up with the training pace, which is longer than their designated rest time. Nochi is well aware of the principle of not taking things too hastily. It doesn't hurt to give them a week to adapt. Nock was just about to fall asleep. Someone knocked on his door again. Major General, it's time for afternoon tea and you didn't have time to have lunch. The kitchen has specially made a dessert for you to taste. This base has been living a very comfortable life for a long time, even having afternoon tea. Nock happened to be hungry and took the plate from the Navy outside the door. He noticed a love symbol drawn with strawberry jam on the cream cake, just like the love he saw at breakfast. Is it a characteristic of the kitchen at the ROG naval base? Of course, Nock understands that this is a way for girls to seek love from boys. But there are only 2 women in the entire base. Daki has been training all along, so she definitely doesn't have time to do these things. Another woman, he only had a chance encounter with her, couldn't it be love at first sight? Nock touched his pure white chin, and with his charm, it seemed that there were many girls who fell in love at first sight. Nock is not a scumbag. When he thought of the possibility, he immediately put down his plate and walked out to the kitchen. It would be better to explain clearly about his reputation and ownership. Chapter 10. Bartolomio. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Nochi entered the kitchen, and the naval chefs were busy preparing dinner for the soldiers. Major General, why are you here? A Navy officer wearing a chef's hat walked towards him. Oh, let me take a look at it casually. After all, as a newcomer, my understanding of the base only stays in writing and I haven't personally experienced it yet. Do you need me to introduce you to the situation? No need, you're busy with yours. The kitchen space is not large or small, of medium size. Nochi looked up and found the only female chef in the base. It should be her. Nochi quietly came to the girl's side. The girl was completely focused on cooking a dish at this moment, without noticing anyone standing beside him. Well done. Norch looked for a while before suddenly speaking up. The girl suddenly sensed Norch's presence, turned her head, and saw the man's beautiful face. Her face flushed with a loud blush, and her legs instinctively jumped back, but accidentally sprained her foot. Noachi's hands were quick and his eyes were quick, and he timely supported her waist. Fortunately, the girl's reaction to this touch was even greater, and she exclaimed excitedly. For a moment, everyone's gaze in the kitchen turned towards them. The girl finally realized and quickly stood up, pushing away the man in front of her with her hand. She lowered her head, blushed with embarrassment, and couldn't even speak clearly. Xiao xiao xiao. General, do you have anything to do with me? Seeing her appearance, Nock became even more determined in his judgment. Actually, it's nothing. I just wanted to ask you, did you make today's breakfast and afternoon tea? Yeah, how does it taste? Does it suit your taste? The girl looked forward to it. The taste is quite good, but... Just what? Your cooking style reminds me of my girlfriend from the Navy headquarters. Every time she prepares a bento for me, she makes a symbol of love, Nochi said, looking at the people around him and feeling that it's not appropriate to simply refuse someone. Girlfriend Tarina's expression instantly froze. Major General has a girlfriend. Have a girlfriend. Have a girlfriend. What to do? What to do? I absolutely cannot admit that I like the things of a Major General now, otherwise I will definitely be rejected. Tarina ignored the strange looks of the chefs and gradually calmed herself down. Her little head spun rapidly, and then she remained unusually calm, saying, Major General, my love has a different meaning than your girlfriend's love. How to say this? Tarina continued to fabricate and say, love. Love not only represents love between men and women, but also represents the respect of our subordinates towards our superiors. The reason why I decorated your food like this is to let you experience the warmth of the Rogue Navy, and to make you understand our admiration as subordinates towards you. Is there such an explanation before? Upon careful consideration, Nochi realized that it seemed reasonable. Who stipulated that love always represents love? But Nochi is not foolish. The other party's reaction just now was not as simple as a subordinate's affection for the superior. However, anyway, this little cook already knows about his girlfriend. The goal has been achieved. There is no need to delve deeper into it. So, it's truly a pleasure for me, as a chief, to receive such respect from my subordinates. Let's continue to work hard. Nock reached out and patted her shoulder. Darina's heart was pounding fiercely. Wait until Nock leaves. The kitchen was filled with booze. They have been with Tarina for many years. I have never seen her so devoted to any officer or colleague before. Now, speaking with respect to the chief, who can believe it? Tarina's eyes widened and she glared angrily at the crowd. What are you looking at? Why don't you go work now? As the person with the highest culinary skills in the entire kitchen, she has repeatedly participated in the cooking competition in Logue Town and achieved excellent results, holding a pivotal position, second only to the head chef. The chefs laughed heartily when they saw her petite and cute appearance. The chef exclaimed, Tarina has also reached the age of a teenage girl's nostalgia. Tarina blushed with embarrassment and had no intention of continuing cooking. She put down the spatula in her hand and ran out of the kitchen. Go back to the dormitory. Tarina buried her head in a blanket, and the events that had just happened flashed through her mind repeatedly. What should I do? Major General has a girlfriend now, and they both look very in love. Is it rare for me to be tempted and give up like this? No, 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 I'm afraid I won't meet a better man than a young general in my life. Even if you try to snatch me, you'll have to take him. Anyway, we're not married yet. Everyone depends on their abilities, and everyone has a chance. But relying solely on cooking will definitely not impress the young general. What advantage do I have? Tarina came to the mirror and looked at her petite body, lost in thought. In terms of body shape alone, she doesn't seem to have much advantage. Damn it. Why can't we grow up a little bit? She can't take the mature route, it seems she can only take the cute route. I hope Major General likes her type. Tarina calmed down and returned to the kitchen. The cooking plan had just begun and could not be interrupted. After all, sincerity in love is very important for both men and women. As long as you persist, the Major General will eventually appreciate her kindness. Before she thinks of any other strategy, just stick to it like this. After solving the fangirl's problem, Nochi went back to the room and fell asleep in bed. During his deep sleep, the Navy finally finished their tiring and arduous first day of training, and after dinner, they each went back to their houses to rest. Only Dashi Chi went to the training ground to continue her sword-swinging practice. Tarina saw that Daki had not returned to her room for a long time, and suddenly remembered that Daki had said last night that the Major General seemed to have taken her as an apprentice. Tarina couldn't help but feel a little envious and jealous of Daki. On her first day of acquaintance, she established such a strong relationship with the Major General. Can she also become a disciple of a Major General? Obviously not. After all, her talent in combat is indescribable. Unless the Major General also has a high level of expertise in cooking, how could that be possible? Good-looking, strong in ability, and proficient in cooking. This kind of man is rare in 100 years. At the agreed call time with Ian, Nock was awakened by the ringing of the phone from Brobru. The content of the conversation between the two is very simple, which is to tell each other about their daily experiences. Ian's day was ordinary, still preparing for teaching tasks. When she listened to Nochi's day, it was initially dull, but the further she listened, the more she felt an uncontrollable jealousy in her heart. Sure enough, a bad woman came to seduce her, Nochi. Although Nock refused her, no one can guarantee that the woman will give up because of it. Just like in the past, when Nock repeatedly refused her confession, why did she ever give up? Unfortunately, she is far from the naval headquarters and cannot go to protect her men. It would be great if there was someone worth entrusting to watch over for her. As soon as Ian had this idea, he immediately dispelled it. As the saying goes, fire prevention, theft prevention, and intimate protection have rarely occurred since ancient times. It is most reassuring to personally go to battle. But she really can't be transferred from the headquarters. Ian became increasingly depressed. If she were an ordinary woman, she would definitely use threatening means, crying and making noise to force her men to stay away from the opposite sex. Ian is not that foolish. If he really wants to do this, it's just an opportunity for other women to take advantage of. But she couldn't help but tolerate it with a single magnanimity. She remembered the insurance that Peach Rabbit had previously arranged for her, so she said, "Norch, there's one more thing I forgot to tell you. Sister Yuan has recently recommended books to me again, and I can't refuse her. So I took a few books, but they were all left in the bookshelf without reading a single one." Okay. Nock was enraged upon hearing this. Peach Rabbit Garden, this troublesome bad sister, insists on teaching I'm bad, right? When I return to our headquarters, I must find her to do a good job of theoretical research. Nock repeatedly reminded Ein not to read the books given by Juyuan. Ein didn't mention the original agreement at all, but Norch clearly remembered it himself. Her goal has been achieved. However, using this method once or twice is effective, and frequent use can also provoke Norch's aversion. Ian still needs to find other ways. Having an excellent boyfriend is really a headache. The time in Logue Town is simple yet fulfilling. Although Nock had already stated that he had a girlfriend, he was still able to taste the dishes that Tarina had carefully prepared for him. He also learned some information about Tarina from other people. It turned out that Tarina was one of the famous chefs in the East China Sea, known as the second best chef in the East China Sea. At the East China Sea cooking competition held in Rog Town, he repeatedly achieved second place and was known as the second in 1,000 years. The first one always comes from the Sea Restaurant Baladi, studied under Jeep, and is the Carmen chef of Sanji's senior sister. Tarina hates being mentioned as the second best in the East China Sea, because she is very concerned about losing to her peers in her field of expertise. Nochi thought about waiting until the next culinary competition to teach her two skills and help her win the first place, which could be considered as a way to repay her kindness in cooking for herself for such a long time. In addition, Dottie lived up to expectations and spent 4 days searching for Bartolomio's trail, living in a village in the countryside of Logue Town. Upon learning about it, Nock immediately decided to go. The island where Logue Town is located is quite large, not just a town, but also surrounded by many small villages. Bartolomio, as a top expert among mountain bandits, almost all the villages near Logue Town are his territory, and he is paying protection fees to him. Bartolomio is not a bad person, unlike ordinary mountain bandits who only know how to burn, kill, and loot. He often only competes with other mountain bandits for territory and then demands protection fees from the villagers. If encountering a particularly poor village, he would lower the standard of protection fees appropriately. In short, this person's business is similar to that of the security company in Norcha's previous life. It's like collecting money to help people take care of their homes, but the security guards are passive workers, while Bartolomeo forces the villagers to accept his protection. According to Nochi's understanding, the villagers initially did not want to accept Bartolomeo, but as time went on, they found that the bandit was quite powerful. With him, no one dared to step into their village anymore, so they recognized his existence. Even started helping Bartolomeo conceal his whereabouts from the Navy. After all, the Navy did not play its role in protecting them, while Bartolomeo replaced the Navy with an excellent job at a cost they could accept, and the pros and cons were easily determined. Nochi was walking alone on a rural path when suddenly a group of people rushed out. She is the first woman with short red and yellow hair, a beautiful face, and a hot figure. She was wearing a dark blue spy suit jacket, with a towering chest wrapped only in thick white cloth. She carried a thick iron rod on her shoulder and a vegetable root in her mouth. Her tone was domineering and she said, "Hey, why are Navy garbage here? You think we didn't beat you badly enough last time, and your skin is itching again. Are you Mother Desire, the deputy leader of Bartolomeo's group? You look unfamiliar, new here, don't you? Are you talking about women?" Nochi had a bright smile on his face. In the next moment, he took a big step forward, extended his index finger, and mercilessly stabbed the opponent's chest with a pointed gun. Desiadon flew over 10 meters like a detached kite, spitting blood and throwing himself into the field. Deputy Leader. The mountain bandits were stunned. Defeated the deputy leader with just one strike. Is this guy a monster? Hurry up and call the boss, there's a strong enemy coming. Nochi allowed the mountain bandits to go back and report, calmly following them for a stroll behind. Bartolomio was taking off his pants and soaking water behind a neighbor's house when he suddenly learned that his childhood friend Desire had been knocked unconscious. Although he has never liked Desire, he grew up together since childhood and cannot ignore it. Cut, women are troublesome. Bartolomio lifted his pants, put his hands in his pockets, and walked unsteadily towards the outside of the village. Nochi saw a green coxcomb-headed man from afar, knowing in his heart that he was Bartolomio, a man with an invincible barrier. Bartolomio picked his nose and obviously didn't take Norch seriously. He opened his mouth and said, "You guys have pretty good strength. I thought Desire was already one of the best women, but I didn't expect anyone to be even more powerful than her." The younger brothers saw Nochi's black face and quickly reminded him nearby, "Boss, he is male." Deputy Leader Desire was defeated by this kid's move because he misjudged his gender. Do you think I will be defeated by a single move? Bartolomio's devilish face became increasingly gloomy. The boss is wise and powerful, with high strength. Of course he doesn't know how to do it, he. Bartolomio acted recklessly and reached into his pants to scratch the itch. When he saw Nochi's contemptuous gaze, he said nonchalantly, "If you don't like me, come and hit me." As he spoke, he extended his head forward. Nochi realized that the other party had set up a transparent barrier in front of him, which is why he dared to be so reckless. However, in front of the dark fruit, all abilities are in vain. Nock's right palm opened and the black vortex leaned forward. Bartolomio had not yet realized that his barrier had disappeared. Nochi extended his left hand and slapped him. Pop.